Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Blue Sunday, which is obviously episode 80, 20 away from the Big Ton. Here I am, joined by Big Vincenz. How are we, Vince?
G'day, Sebba. Great to have you, mate. Co-hosting with me tonight. Unfortunately, Joe's indisposed, and we're hoping he might make a little cameo appearance later on in the show. But good of you to step up and volunteer to co-host with me tonight, mate.
Of
Great
course,
to have you.
it's a privilege. It's a big privilege, Vince. And to the chat, hello everyone. Hope you're all well.
Hello to all of the regulars that are here as usual. Rat Poison, Zach Asuni, Tony Mallia, Scotty Tompkins, Rocco Moro, Stuart McQuaid.
They're all there. Everyone's in. The TJP family is
always
in full
good for
force
a comment,
tonight.
Paz.
And bang!
Sandra McDonald, great to have you back. Peter V. Big shout out to Peter V. He's a great bloke and a fantastic supporter.
Lone Wolf with the $5 donation off the bat. We'll get into this question. I'll keep it up.
Thanks for that,
we'll get into it after I introduce the panel.
Appreciate it.
Yep. So we do have a special guest for you guys tonight. Man who's been criticised in the media as of late, but he never fails to bleed blue. And our special guest tonight is Snapper from Port Phillip Bay. How are we, Snapper?
Yeah, good evening, gents. Thanks for having me on. How are we going?
Very well. And
of course, I spoke to Snapper about a week or two ago, and he said he'd love to come on one night. And seeing Joe was going to be missing tonight, I thought, what an opportunity to get Snapper on, especially fresh off a bit of media attention and 3RW interviewing a few of our members of the Carlton Queer Squad. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. And of course, we've got our regular special guest expert commentator with us, of course, tonight that everyone loves to listen to.
Our resident Carlton Premiership player and 1987 Norm Smith medalist, the one, the only, David Rhys Jones.
How are we, Rhys? Guys?
Yeah. There he is.
Doing well.
How are we today? Jeez, we've got a full house, eh? Full house here.
Full house on today.
No Snapper.
Do you like the picture of the Snapper right behind Snapper's head?
It's an angry Snapper, that one.
It's even got a Carlton bit here.
Got a Carlton very well.
That's it.
And that's what you call a passionate Carlton supporter, Rhys. We'll talk about the definition of passionate Carlton supporters a bit later too.
That's it. So before we get going, guys, we'll get some housekeeping out of the way. We'll give a big thank you to the channel sponsors, the Sporting Globe Northland. Obviously, if you know, we do our away days there, so get down there. I think the next one is Fremantle in a couple of weeks' time.
August the 3rd.
We do August the 3rd. If you haven't been here, obviously, we do a Sporting Globe. Everyone gets down there on an away day, so we can all be there, watch the footy, and be angry together, because that seems to be the theme of the year. And then we got Retired Working For You Tours, Bangkok Joe's tour service that he runs in Thailand, and contact him and he'll get you around there. Well, I guess I haven't been with him before, but yeah. We do have a few donations off the rip. So Slobbo for the $2.99. Snapper, we have your back against Woke Mary. Thank you for the donation. No need. Also, quick one from Lone Wolf Ant, the $5. Question for Vince. We're the only club the fans have to register to watch our team train. Utterly disgraceful, if you ask me. Vince?
Gone are the days where you could just roll up to the club and feel like you could watch training and wander around and just feel like you belong. Nowadays, they make you try and feel like that you're an outsider. Just ask Rocco. He feels like that every time he walks into the club these days. But I don't know of any other clubs that make their supporters register just to go to a training session. By the way, we don't call them training sessions at Carlton anymore. They're called viewing sessions. It's almost like you're looking at a corpse.
And down below, guys, we have our TJP end of year show on the 30th of August at Howlers. Obviously, special guest booked in already. 95 Premiership player Brad Pearce with some more guests to be announced. I think the link is in the description if you want to get your tickets. The tickets are selling fast, so it'll be a great night. Being to past TJP live events, it's always a good night. I think the Monday Blues boys will be there as well, so it should be an action-packed night. Now, we did have a game last Thursday. Should we jump into it?
We're all so happy. We must have had 3 days to recover from it.
That's it.
That's a good thing about the Thursday night matches. You
forget about it. By the time
the weekend comes around, you've forgotten about it, and you can enjoy yourself. And,
that's it. That's
exactly.
it.
All right, Sebba, I'll quickly go through the scores here. Of course, Carlton 9-12-66. We struggle to kick 10 goals these days, don't we? To the Brisbane Lions 15-13, 103, a 37-point flattering margin in the end, I thought. They were 52 points in front at three-quarter time, and yet again, as predicted, they put the cue in the rack. They didn't even score a goal. I mean, at least Collingwood got one right at the end last time, but Brisbane didn't even do that. So we only managed to kick 3 goals in that last quarter, but as you can see there, the Lions just kept extending their lead after every change except for the last quarter. We didn't even score a goal in the third quarter. So in the end, it wasn't a very great performance. I mean, we sort of got off to a reasonable start. Again, the same sort of thing. We sort of make some sort of effort in the first quarter, but
a few stats.
Not much after that. I'll just before we put those stats up, I'll just quickly go through the goal kickers. Only multiple goal kicker for Carlton. You wouldn't believe it. The ruckman, Mark Pitnet, kicked 2 goals. Singles to Cripps, Williams, DeConning, Durden, Fantasia, Hewitt, and McGovern.
Yep.
And for Brisbane, their major goal kickers were Charlie Cameron with 3. Could have kicked more. Kicked 3 goals, 3 in the end. Morris kicked 2, and Rayner kicked 2, and the rest of them were singles. So main disposal winners for Carlton. Hewitt with 33, Cripps with 26, Chera 25, Haynes 23, Cowan 22, and Doherty and Hollands with 21. They're the only ones with 20 or more possessions. And Brisbane, Lockie Neal 31, Darcy Wilmot 31, can you believe? Will Ashcroft 29, Josh Dunkley 28, and he won the inaugural Robert Walls medal.
Yep.
Dane Zorko 28, Jared Berry 23, Young Fletcher, Jasper Fletcher 22, Cameron Rayner 22, Zach Bailey with 21. So, that's almost half the side. So there you see the stats up on the screen. Brisbane mainly had more kicks than us. Total of 383 possessions to 344. We beat them in the contested possessions by 30-odd possessions there, but they killed us in the uncontested possessions. Turnovers were pretty even. Marks 130 to 69. What's going on with our marking? In the last few weeks, we just don't mark the ball.
No.
120 to 60 when it came to uncontested marks. So they just had the ball on the outside that much. It wasn't funny. Hit-outs were fairly even. Clangers were fairly even. Tackles, they out-tackled us by 10, including 20 tackles inside 50 to only 8. And their scoring shots, they had a 54% efficiency rate going inside 50 compared to our 43%. Sorry, I beg your pardon. That's scoring accuracy, 54%. Seeing they scored 15-13. Ours was 43%, and that's because we only scored 9 goals, 12. So they're the stats. They're the main areas that we differed in. But yet again, another performance where you'd have to say it was only a matter of time before they got on top of us. And by three-quarter time, the game was over, 52 points.
Yep, that's it. Rhys, what did you make of it?
Well, I wasn't as disappointed as I was the week before, so that's one bonus, I suppose. But it's good to see
Why is that, Rhys?
Well, because we had a pretty. We're playing the reigning premiers, who had, I think, about 14 or 15 of their premiership players in there, something like that. Anyway, we had a lot of kids playing. A lot of kids playing their, third, fourth, fifth game, whatever it may have been. So, and that was always going to show. I think, I just hope these kids are learning out there. It's obvious they don't learn during the game because, that Matt Carroll, he got, just too slow with the ball and no awareness of what's around him and the pace of the game and so forth. I mean, God, I remember the first possession I had when I played was South Melbourne back in 1980. And the first possession, I had a bloke on me straight away. And you just think, Jesus Christ, where did he come from? But that was just and you learn pretty quick, You've got to have awareness of what's around you, and you have to, get rid of the ball or have some tactics to get away from the opposition because, but he got caught a few times, and that was sort of disappointing in itself because you can understand it early in a game or whatever, or young players, but I think he went 2 or 3 times, bad ones too. They were, and it cost us. But and that's the thing. That's what you want to sort of hear from. You want to see from your players. But we had a lot of kids out there. I think, in all honesty, that Brisbane were nowhere near 100%. They were coasting through most of the game, and we were able to get a few goals and a few cheap ones along the way. But I want to see more kids playing, though. I just want to see more kids playing at the moment. I think it's funny. I spoke to my mum today about something else, another subject, but she turned around and said to me, she said, "How does Francis Evans get a game? How does he get a game?" And that's my mum who doesn't follow. I mean, she follows the football on that, but when
your mum should be on the selection committee.
You talk about football, and she said, "Well, start off with how Carlton going." So, Carlton are going pretty ordinary, and everything. Yeah, I said, yeah. And then that was the first thing she sort of said. How does he get a game? So,
well, he didn't play.
Hey,
he didn't play. He got dropped.
He played, didn't he?
No, but it doesn't matter at this point.
He got dropped after the Collingwood game. He came in for one game, and
sorry about that.
They drop him the next week.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter. Even
but
it
shows where we're at, and when the players who are going in there are just not up to it, and that's more the reason why you want to see the kids playing. I mean, I watched teams like I watched Richmond the other night, and I was barracking for Richmond. I wanted to see those kids get a win. It was a bloody terrific win for them, and you love looking at the kids, out there having a real crack and getting used to league football, and we rotate the same players in and out of the team, and we get what we deserve in the end. It really is. It really is not good. But no, I think I think the heat's got to come back on the players, to be perfectly honest. And
100%.
Did Akers play on the weekend? I'm not too sure.
No, he was dropped
as well.
He was dropped. No, sorry, I mean in the VFL. Did he play in the VFL?
Yeah, he did play in the VFL, but I don't think he played the sort of football that would warrant bringing him straight back in.
Oh no, I'm not saying that either, but I think you've got to make some statements here and there, and
first player with half a name that we've dropped this year, by Bakers. And when did we do it?
Yeah.
When the season's over.
You got to keep doing it though. Yeah, you got to keep doing it.
They should have been doing that a lot earlier, as you've been calling for.
Well, they should have been dropping players and not bringing them back.
Yeah.
I mean, put it this way, go back and get 30, 40 in the twos. You know, that's what we want to see. And when you're doing that, then you can get back in. But
Exactly
until
right.
that, you're not going to get in. You know, and we're going to play some kids. We're going to put games into kids and get them up. As I said, you know, I mean, Ben Camprioli, Harry Lemmy, they're not going to get any better playing VFL at the moment. You know, I mean, they should be up playing in the senior team and putting some games in. I'm looking to the future and looking to what, you know, or why have we got them? You know, come out and say, you know,
I think that's where the club is
players
at the moment. I think that's where the club is at the moment. We have to look toward 2026 because, I mean, obviously the season's over and done with. You know what I mean? You can't, like you said, we're rewarding players that what have they done to warrant this place in the side? You know what I mean? You got, like you said, Francis Evans. Even if he did play, you wouldn't have even noticed him. You know what I mean?
No,
like it's
no.
just,
And there's too many of them we don't notice either.
Exactly right. Snapper,
You know,
do you have any comments on the game?
Yeah, so we actually got to sit in a position. We sat in Medallion Club, so we actually got to watch the game from a better perspective instead of sitting on ground level. And we were terrible. Once again, you know, we give away stoppage time goals in the second quarter, which sort of blew out the margin, sort of like the Collingwood the week before, where we're 18 points down and with seconds to go, we turn over the footy and they kick a goal at halftime. It's 4 goals, you know. Then the third quarter, they just ripped us apart. And, you know, the one thing I hate is how the media and a lot of supporters jumped on it. Oh, you know, we gave it a crack. I don't know what crack we gave. Like, Brisbane put the cue in the rack, and that's all she wrote. Like, we kicked 3 goals in about, 10 minutes, and then that was it. Like, we got to look at the big picture and go, if Brisbane really wanted to, they could have absolutely mauled us by 100 points. But at this time of year, injuries, you got to be cautious.
They were coming off a 5-day break too, Snapper. Exactly. They were coming off a 5-day break. So
exactly. So you look at that and you go, and like what Rhys touched on, you know, where are the kids? I've been calling it for months now. Where are the kids? And someone mentioned that the selection committee and Voss, they all pick the same. They just rotate. It just keeps going around and around and around the same players. So Evans got dropped last this week. He'll get picked again because he kicked 3 goals. Big deal. Bring in Lemmy. Bring in the Campo twins. You look at Cadman for the Giants. Big boy. Look what he's done. Imagine that with Lemmy. And it's a good game this Saturday night against Melbourne. Bring him in. I mean, you look at Gold Coast. Their tall forward that Gold Coast have at the moment, the young lad. I don't know his name off the top of my head, but he put pressure on Collingwood.
Walter, number 4.
Walter.
And I said it against the Common game to the old man and to him, you bring in Lemmy and you put the defence of the opposition under pressure and you say, listen here, kid, don't venture outside forward 50. That's TDK, that's Pittos, that's Charlie's area. You stay in the forward 50. You're over 200 centimetres. So you're going to have to take the best defender. But no, we don't do it. We don't do it. And on the weekend, I mean, I watched the game very closely and it was terrible. I mean, Wiedering just doesn't look like he even wants to be out there.
I think he's checked out.
It's terrible. It's terrible. And, you know, you look at Melbourne and North Melbourne today going at it hard. You look at Richmond Essendon last night. You know, even though it was a shocking game of football, but it was going in there. Look at West Coast against Port Adelaide today. Gave it a crack. That's what giving it a crack is. With us, it's like, that's it. You know, we've got players at night.
Even St Kilda today gave it a real shot against Sydney, and I think the supporters can be proud of the team.
Spot on, Vince. But what have we got? So we come up against.
But they got some good kids in there who've now played 20, 30 games of football.
Yeah, they do.
You know, 20, 30 games. They're on their way to, you know, they're on their way to being, you know, legitimate senior footballers, and that's what we haven't got because we don't blood our kids. We don't give them the resources. We think we're better than what we are, so we think, oh well, it's pie in the skies type of stuff. We
You've
really
said this
need
all year.
to. We need to get kids in there and get them, get them their 20, 30 odd games and see where they're at because.
Yeah.
And when you talk about Lemmy, I've been talking about him every week, and I just still can't understand it. And they can say, someone just wrote before, I think it was Uncle Chop Chop. We got an Uncle Chop Chop out there somewhere, have we? Who wrote where B Wilson got? I think Billy Wilson played a couple of weeks ago, and talking to the people down at the club. Yeah, there it is. Why did they drop Billy Wilson? Apparently, halfway through the third quarter, he was tanked. Tanked. So, therefore, and that's good in some ways because that kid now knows he knows
what it takes.
I need to be a lot bloody fitter. I realise where I'm at, where I need to get to, and hopefully he will get back and work his ass off and realise, he's a long way from where he should be. And that's what they learn when they get in there. That's what, some of them are going to be fit enough to get there, but then they're going to realise they're not strong enough in contests and things, and they're going to get pushed aside easy. They're going to realise, geez, I need to, jump in the gym and work a bit harder and bulk up a bit. And it's all a learning process. But what are they learning in the VFL? They're not learning anything there. They're running around getting anyone can get it. Well, not anyone. It's probably harder to get a kick sometimes in the VFL because the standard's not as great, and it's you're running to where the ball should be going, and it doesn't get there. But it should be easier at AFL level. But if we're recruiting these kids and bring them into the club, we've got to start playing them. And I'd rather, and all Carlton fans, I think, would rather see, a team full of kids and learning off Cripper and these blokes out there on the run, the guys who they do look up to. And it's unfortunate because we're going to get some players back now, and that's going to limit who, when Harry Mackay comes back, it makes it hard for Harry Lemmy then, to be able to be fitting in there. So, it frustrates me. It really does frustrate me. But, we've had numerous opportunities this year to have a Harry Lemmy playing down as that, second tall forward, and we haven't given him the chance. And, he would learn a hell of a lot about himself and about where his footy's at and whether, where it is at compared to the rest of them.
Questions for Rhys.
Did any of you guys? Oh, sorry, Snapper, go for it.
Oh, thanks, Vince. I just wanted a question for Rhys. Do you honestly think that this is the difference between Ross Lyon and Michael Voss? Is that Ross Lyon is a teacher, gives the kids a crack? I mean, we saw when the media ripped into him for having a go at Hugo I think it was Hugo on the bench, and saying that you can't do that. But then the following week, the kid was the NAB rising star. And it's like, it's tough love. Do you, in your opinion, do you think that that's what Voss lacks, is that he's not a teacher and he's not willing to go, I'm going to put my faith in these kids and it's going to pay off. And, if it doesn't pay off, at least I've given it a crack. What's your opinion on that?
To be perfectly honest, and I've coached in that, and there are players you can come and have a crack at, and even in today's world where they're a lot softer than what we were, everyone copped a belt and went. But coaches will work out who they can. Who they can give it to, and whether they'll take it on board and the character of the person. So therefore, you can do that. But I can tell you, and to be perfectly honest, I remember when the coaching job was coming up at Carlton. I can tell you, if Ross Lyon had got that coaching job, I would not have gone and watched one of our games because I hate the way he plays football.
It's just roadblock football.
Well, it is. It's just put everyone behind boring. The ball, and it is boring football. It is shit football. Yeah. So when you mention Ross Lyon, it just keep me out of the argument because I don't like his style of football. It's what the Swans did back in. Remember when he was assistant coach back under Paul Roos, back in the was that the 2000s probably, wasn't it? It was that far back, and he's still got that type of mentality of, holding them to 8 goals and we'll kick 9 sort of thing. And it's shit footy. But anyway, that's bugger St Kilda. I don't like them anyway. But
I got one for you, Reece. Back in your day, obviously the 2s to the 1s. It's going back to the players and playing the kids. And you mentioned when you played your first game about just realizing how quick it was and stuff. Do you feel like the kids need to be in there to gain that sort of that match hardened body that like you can only develop from playing in the AFL in comparison to obviously the VFL?
You got to learn what where you're at and your strengths and weaknesses and where you need to pick up and the fitness side of it is another level. The strength and it's just the ability of the players. They the way they move, the way their core strength, tackling them. I mean, the first bloke I'll be sacking down there at the moment is a tackling coach because we are the worst tackling. The kicking coach and the tackling coach because our kicking is deplorable and our tackling is and tackling is all above the shoulders. I can tell you that. You don't have to be the biggest bloke out there, the strongest bloke out there to lay a tackle, and you're going to want to tackle and teams walk through us and it's it's disgraceful. But look, there's been a lot of heat on Vossi, and I'm of the opinion that we've sacked too many coaches so far. We can't keep going down that road. We need to put the pressure back on the players, and the players have got to be accountable. I mean, they get away scot free. Everyone's sacked. Bugger. Let's get off that topic because we've seen it hasn't worked. We've had 2 premiership coaches, Mick Moldhouse, Dennis Pagan have been there. We've had young coaches come through, Brendan Bolton and so forth, and we keep sacking people. Let's look at the real cause of the problem, and it is the players. The current players are the problem, and that's what we need to really work on and say, well, to be perfectly honest, there'd only be one player I would keep out of that whole list, and I'd throw them all up for available next year. That one player is Jacob Wiedering, and because he's a cornerstone of our defence, and he, without him there, we would have been flogged, week after week for a couple of years now. So. And I don't think he's given up. I think it's just a frustration thing for him that ball's coming down there 100 miles an hour too quickly, too easily, without any pressure. And I know what it's like on the back line. It's great when your midfield's putting some pressure on and everything, and the ball's kicked up in the air. You can do what you want, but when it's coming down 100 miles an hour and there's no pressure through the midfield, then it's the worst spot to be in football. So, and to be perfectly honest, we should start thinking about, do we look at a Harley Reid?
You said that last week. You did.
Yeah, a Harley Reid for a cripper type thing. I mean, start looking at these things because we need to win a premiership. That's what we need to do, and the focus on everyone at that football club, every player, every recruiter, every coach should be, how are we going to get to our next premiership? That should be in the first and foremost thought in every single person's mind. We're a mile from it at the moment, so how are we going to get there? Who are we going to keep? How do we motivate them? Who are the kids coming through? Who do we need to get 40, 50, 60, 80 games into to get to that stage, or do we start trading pretty hard and be merciless on who we bring in? We went out, what was it, 4 or 5 years ago, and we got McGovern, Sard, Chera, Martin. Martin was a bit stiff with injury and so forth. There's others there. Well, we got. We got Blake Acres around that same time.
How many of those have really worked out though? And how
they're all on massive contracts. They're on 4 and 5 year contracts.
Don't forget Zach Williams on $900,000 a year for a halfback flanker.
Yeah, and he's going to be a midfielder, But anyway, but they all come in on and they were going to be the solution. Well, they're not the
You're
solution.
not. Yeah.
They're not, and we're going to stick with them and say they are still going to be.
No, you can't. And I think
that's
the
the
problem
stupidity of.
is. Sorry to cut you off, David, but I think the problem is too in the fan base is that if like a large portion of our fan base is scared to lose these players, are scared to lose, say, if a Patrick Cripps or a Mackay or a Kerno, people are scared to lose them. But what people don't understand is we've lost bigger players that have done more for the club than what these players have done. And right now, what these players have shown me, and specifically this group, yeah, and like all I've known for my 24 years of watching this team is losing sides, right? But this is, for me, this is the worst I've seen it as a playing group wise. Yeah, there may be some talent in there, maybe chock full of talent at some places, but it's the worst I've seen it. The players, they really show that they don't give a crap about the emblem. They don't care. No one. They don't look like they want to play for it. Like you got Charlie Kerno going out there, and yes, well, he tries and stuff, but he's just not switched on. He's not switched on. TDK, you can tell from you said it weeks ago. He's checked out. Why are we still giving him a game? And I understand when people.
No, I don't think he's checked out. But and look, and to be perfectly honest, how would you like to be Charlie Kerno down there, one out? 2 and 3 players to compete with week in, week out. It'd be frustrating for him as well, and he's not getting enough support, and the support should be a bloody Harry Lemmy, for example, or someone else, another target down there that we can we can look forward, because you need to take the pressure off these guys. We need our good players. We put too much. We got some, some really, really talented, good footballers in our football team, and who should be, playing at A grade level. But you've got to have the other players, contributing to that. You just can't have them all trying to get easy kicks on the outside or whatever. There's an old saying, when it's your turn to go out there, you've got to go. They're going to let Ashton Moyer and say, Ashton Moyer, you go for everything. Go for everything. Jump on Charlie's head if you want to. He'll jump on your head if he gets an opportunity, so you jump on his head. You've got to give him a license to get out there and play footy and have a real crack. And I just think bring some young talent in. I think we're going to be in an unfortunate position soon where we're going to get Silvani back, we're going to get Harry Mackay back, we're going to get Walsh back. Who's going out for them? Yeah, Sard will come back. But who goes out for them? The kids go out.
Kids. Yep,
the kids will go out. Well, I don't want the kids to go out. I want a few of the others.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
And saying that, you can't keep just playing the kids because they're kids either. You've got to. They've got to learn along the way, and some of them will stay in there, and some won't. Some will have to go back and get back. But we the broken tackles and the the crap we put up with week after week is I think that shows where we're at, and as I said, tackling's anyone can tackle. You have a look at girls' footy. The girls are great at tackling. Women's footy, because that's what that's easier. It's easier than kicking the ball, tackling. Yeah. So the girls are all really good bloody tacklers, but
So with the players, I don't know about probably a question to all you guys, but obviously we've seen a fair bit this year the way they drop their heads and the way some of them mope around and stuff like that. First off, Rhys, from your playing days, is that an easy trait to fix, or can you coach that out of a player? Can you teach them to be engaged more, not to mope around and not to, while they're on the field if it doesn't go their way?
Look, you have some times when you're playing footy and things aren't going well for you and you're down in the dumps. How am I going to get out of it? But I can tell you, it's just bloody hard work. It is
Yep.
just tough work, and every time, there's an old saying: the harder you work, the luckier you get. And it's never been a truer saying, and especially on a footy field, because that's where that's your job. That's your job, and
Yeah.
you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have good games, bad games, but you just got to keep working at it. You just, as soon as you stop working at it, as soon as your mind goes off that,
Yep.
you may as well be back in the twos, and that's where coaches need to pick up but we and I want to see our blokes enjoying themselves out there. I don't think they are. I think they're a
Nah.
long way from really enjoying themselves, and it's hard. It's bloody tough, but there's only one way out of it. And look, it was good to
Hard
see
work.
Cripper. I thought he had his best game for quite a while. I thought he stepped up, especially early in the match, and that's what we need. We need our leaders really out there and leading by example. And sometimes
Yeah.
you have to carry them through. And but we need. I don't know. I just really think the heat should be coming back on the players, and not we're looking at. It's just relentless, all this talk about Voss at the moment. I'm sick of it. I don't want to see us sack another coach. Graham Wright's been sitting there. He's looked at a lot of it across, and he'll know that the history of sacking coaches doesn't get you too far. So, there may be some of the assistant coaches, development coaches, whatever, have to be moved on. But I don't know. I think it'd be too many steps backwards at this stage to go down that path. I'm not close enough to know, whether Vossy can coach or not.
Yep.
Rhys, can I ask you to clarify a couple of things? Sounds like you're advocating not to sack Voss, maybe to replace some of the assistants around him, and maybe get him some strategic and tactical, ability with other assistants around him. But do you accept that the senior coach is ultimately responsible and accountable for how the team is playing? And would you accept that the way the team is playing now would appear that they are just totally shot for confidence, and that they don't seem to be playing with any zest or any real belief in what they're doing out there?
Oh, you know what I think? The major ones responsible for the performance out there are the bloody players, and they need to take responsibility for that. And to sit back and have the coach copping it all, I think it's as weak as piss. I think Patrick Cripps should get on the front foot and say, "Hey, we're letting our coach down. We are letting our coach down. We're not playing the football we know we should be. We're going to toughen up. We're going to toughen up. We're going to show you that we're a tough, hard, and we're a proud football team." Has Patrick Cripps come out and said that? Have any of our leaders come out and said that? And Michael Voss copping the heat week in, week out, and that is piss poor from the players as far as I'm concerned, because
that shows a lack of
Michael
leadership
Voss isn't
within the
kicking the
leadership
ball.
group,
He isn't missing the bloke 20 metres away, missing him by 5 yards. He not being able to kick the ball 20 metres to another player, and
they've had months and months and a whole pre-season to get their skills right. Why is it still
no?
that they can't hit a target within 20 minutes?
Let's put the heat back on the players then. Put it back on them, because they're the ones.
Therefore you're saying we should have a clear out, but do a massive amount of trading and delisting and recruiting of new blood into this side, and let Michael Voss coach a totally brand new looking team next year.
No, the players who want to stay there, we'll show you over the next little while who wants to be there, who doesn't.
Yeah,
simple as that.
Well, the last 4 weeks they haven't shown too much, have they?
Well, that's what I'm saying now.
That's when the season's been on the line. Finals
what I'm
were on
saying
the line.
now is the players are getting away with it, and Voss has copped all the heat. That's what I'm saying.
I hear you. I hear you.
Now, and you, anyone who thinks that's acceptable, Voss is there. He's not out there kicking the footy around. I wish he was, to be honest, because we need a Michael Voss in our team.
Yeah.
But he's not there, and all of a sudden, the players are getting away. Who's criticising any of our players at the moment. None of them are making headlines. No one's sort of saying, Mitch McGovern's contract's up at the end of the year. He should be gone, or his contract should be halved, and
Yeah.
And
this is
no one's talking about any of the players.
This is the issue. This is the exact issue, and I think I said it a few times this year on a couple of the other shows. The players are too protected. The players are way too protected. Like they don't cop nearly not saying like to go out there and abuse them and stuff like that, but they don't cop the amount of the brunt that they should be. They go out there. But this is why I say that. Like I always say it. The players they don't care. No, and you can see it on the field, and you can see how big of a disconnect there is between certain players. They just like some players do this, some players are more selfish than others. Like the pinpoint one for me, I think it was when was it last week or the week before? It was a Cooper Lord. He was lined up 35-40 out, and Mitch McGovern's running through, calling for it. Just let the young kid go back and kick it. You know what I mean? Like there's so much.
Yeah, Mitch McGovern didn't even make the distance.
There's so much selfishness on that playing field, and it's starting to leak, and the bad habits now are starting to leak into some of the younger players. If you looked at Ashton Moyer, I think it was in the third quarter or something like that. Like, and when it's going well, it's going well. But Charlie Kerno's wheel around bullshit that he does, and I don't think I've seen him kicked one this year, to be completely honest with you. But you can see Ashton Moyer, it's starting to leak into his game. These bad habits are starting to leak in. There's no, and what was a big issue, Mars called it out perfectly. Where we were sitting, because we sit on the wing. There was a contest in the thing, and there was no talk. No one's talking to each other. There's no voices out on the field. Like, where are your leaders? Your leaders calling here, there. Where are you? And then you've got players. It's like Charlie Kerno out of just on the 50. He's sitting on the outside of the contest. But get into the forward line. What are you doing? Go into the forward line, so that way you can get the ball fed to you. Like, you can just see that they've got no sense of game plan, just zero sense of game plan. I don't know whether it comes through from coaching or the players that just don't understand, but it's just it's all over the place at the moment. I mean, like, there's nothing more.
Once again, I mean, we're not on the inside. It's easy to throw stones from the outside, obviously. But at the end of the day, I mean, I remember when Robert Walls got sacked. I mean, we finished second his first year, won a premiership, 87, 88, we finished third. 11 games into the next year, he got the arse. I mean,
that's when we had standards.
Ridiculous. Well, it's
and expectations.
But then again, it's bloody, Wolsey at the time, he knew he'd rubbed a few people up the wrong way, whether it was Jack Elliott and Colo and so forth. But
I think he lost the players too. He even said as much. He said,
I think, yeah. No, I think he did to a certain extent, but I was disappointed, after he got sacked, because I'm thinking, it was us. We're the players out there playing for him, and there were blokes who were sulking and sooking and whatever about whatever.
How he treated them.
Sometimes you just got to get on with it and forget about all of no one copped any more sprays than I did over the time, and you just get on with it. You shove it up them, The one way to shove it up and show them how you can play and get out there and do it.
Just quickly, there was a donation, Moondog. Thank you for the $2.99. No need for the donation, but he says a connected team doesn't have to think how hard it is.
Yeah. Well, and we're talking about now a connected team, and you can look at. I think there was a message come up about Collingwood before and Macrae and that. But you have a look at the Collingwood team. It is pretty settled. It is pretty settled. It has hard nuts in there. It has some real hard nuts in that team, and got some good experienced players. You know,
Heads.
Sidebottom,
Oh,
Pendlebury, these guys.
Leaders,
So,
real
and
leaders.
they're pretty well settled in how they structure up. You look at our team and you go through it now. I mean, Pitnet hasn't played; he's been in and out this year for Fantasia, in and out. Cowan, missed a lot of footy. O'Farrell's in there, hasn't played much footy. You keep going down. Who we got there? Durden, in and out. Carroll, hasn't played much. Moya, another young. So, I mean, we got nearly half our team who
yeah,
and they're probably not there yet either. So we've got to temper our anger, I suppose, in some ways, and
Yeah.
look at that team and say, well, look, when we do get, Jack Silvani, Harry Mackay, Sammy Walsh back in that team, I mean, you're putting three pretty good keystones in there and building blocks in there, and it'll make life a hell of a lot easier. But
Snapper, I got
we haven't had that. We haven't had that settled combination, and blokes sort of, you can afford to rest blokes and those sort of. I mean, Collingwood are in a position they put Pendlebury on the bench to start with on the weekend. So I mean we're struggling to get players in there who can fit in there.
Is
Can I
it fair
start
to
by-
make
go on,
sorry, go
Snapper.
for
Go,
it, Snapper. Go, Snapper.
Yeah. Our team was settled last year, and it came up on my Facebook memory that we lost to the Bulldogs today last year. Our team was settled, and Voss and the selection committee unsettled it against a Giants team. The game the week before, when they believe they dropped Kennedy and Hewitt because somehow, according to the coaches, they don't work together. But somehow we were second on the table with them in the team. So when you remove what's working to something that you think may work, it unsettled it. And we went on to lose 2 in a row, games that we should have won, and we lacked in the midfield. And that's why when we talk about Collingwood, they're settled. And McRae doesn't piss fart around with the team changes. Whereas with us, we do. And it started last year. And it all comes back to, the whole sack Voss, leave Voss. I say, okay, keep Voss, change the assistant coaches, but what if nothing changes next year? What if round 10, we're languishing out the 8, we've only won a couple of games? What do you do then? And I look at it and I think to myself, look what Hardwick has done with the Gold Coast in 2 years. Look at them on Friday night. They were almost gone. But the belief that, and without Took Miller, mind you, so the belief in that comes from the coaching believing in the style that the players can deliver. Our game style is contested. That's gone. That's finished, that style. We said at the start of the year, we want to inject pace. We have no pace. They went for Jagger Smith, one player. They got rid of Kennedy and Owies. That upsets your team. And I know for a fact it upset the players when Kennedy got moved on. Imagine Kennedy in our midfield now. It'd be it.
Yeah,
we talk about
Kennedy was in there. Kennedy was. You have a look at George Hewitt, for example, and why he's benefiting through Kennedy not being there. If you know what I mean, because they're much of the same type of player. He goes to the Bulldogs, and they needed someone like that. I mean, they needed that type of player in there, and it's fitted him well. But I mean, basically, you had and we had the same thing with Owies getting. We've got the same with Durden and these blokes. Unfortunately, for Kennedy and Owies, their contracts are up. And rather than renegotiate and keep the same type of player as we've already got one, it doesn't make any sense. So
I think a bit more of them moving Kennedy on was, I mean, we're too one-dimensional in the senses that we're not quick in the midfield. Our
that's it.
midfield's
And
slow.
Kennedy's not quick.
Our midfield's Nah, look, I mean, look, the only look, and I've said this before. I think we have to get over the fact of like the Kennedy and the Owies and stuff like.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. You'd obviously, in hindsight, you'd love to have him right now, but obviously, it
Wouldn't
doesn't
make
work
any
like that.
difference.
It
Wouldn't make
doesn't
any
work like
difference if
that.
they were there.
And this is the issue. Our midfield's so slow. They're so like it's just lethargic. The way that there's no outside run, and then when it is there, it's just that the players also that are receiving it, they can't kick, which is obviously it's coming back to it's the putrid ball skills that we have. Like none of our players have developed it. And look, everyone knows Patrick Cripps, he can't kick. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows the kicking is not Patrick Cripps's side to his game. But even Adam Chera and stuff that it's just by foot. It's so subpar. It makes it so hard to watch. It does make it so hard to watch on the weekends. But I mean, yeah,
You
it's
mentioned
just
Owie Sebba, but in the last
mm,
3 years, he's kicked over 40 goals. He's been our third leading goal kicker 3 years
yeah.
running. So and Reece touched on we have Durden, but they haven't stepped up to it. Always can play as almost as a tall. So to remove that out of the forward line, you've just released 30 to 40 goals a year gone in the hope that Durden and Motlop step up. They were never going to be those players. That is
Yeah.
and I understand their
Well,
contract is up.
I think Motlop was the one, and that's where it, I mean, they put their faith in Motlop and said,
But
well, he's the kid. He's only 21 now, I think, at the moment, but
Yeah.
he's the kid
but
who's going to step up and be able to do that. But unfortunately, he hasn't, been able to step up this year and
but
fill that void. So,
this
I
is the
mean,
thing with Motlop. But
that,
this
that,
way,
that's what happens with every club and every
yeah.
list at the end of every year. And when their contracts and that come up, you've got to look at it and say, geez, are we going to, re-sign Owies on whatever and continue with him for another 3 years when we've got these other blokes who are contracted? And that's where,
But
that's where
this is the
it's,
thing with Motlop. This is the thing with Motlop. Like I understand he's been a whipping boy all year. Let's get it twisted. And yes, he
oh, he
hasn't
should be.
played. Yeah, and so he should be. But yes, he hasn't played the way we would have liked him to play. Obviously, we want him to kick goals. That's what we want him to do. But he, uh, and again, I'm not backing him up because I'm not saying he should have be getting games on. It's just the way he's been played this year. He's not a midfielder. Let's be serious here. He's not a midfielder, and a lot of the time this year he's been put into the midfield. He doesn't have that pace. He's
I think he's been put in there to go and touch the footy, to be honest, because he hasn't been touching it down the forward line. I think, and I can't see anything wrong with that at some stages. Just throw him in there to at least get a touch on the footy and get your hands
yeah.
on it because
But you'll often see him even floating down to defence because Voss has got this flood them down to the defence
And this is
mentality. I mean,
and this is
sometimes
the
you've got
thing, Vince.
16 players in the back 50.
And this is what pisses me off and again I know it's about the coach, but just the complete and utter disregard for the play. Like you're putting him in, and I understand what you say for Motlop to get a touch in the midfield, whatever, but he's not. It's not working. It's not working. And all of his best games that he's played this year, he's been played predominantly in the forward line for most of the game. Like last week, the week before, they played Frankie Evans and he was in the back line. You know what I mean? So this is where it comes back for me. It's the coaching. What are they telling these players to do? What are they directing these players to do? And yes, it may be to get a touch, it may be for this, but they're just killing the confidence of the players. You know what
no,
I
I
mean?
Can
don't
you
think
either
so. I
coach
don't think
them,
so.
Reece?
No, I'll disagree with you there because I mean, you go and play where the coach tells you to play, and
Yeah.
you need to play wherever you're told to play, and to the best of your ability, and you just get out there. I got put in the back line, put in the forward line, thrown around wherever. I mean, it's a challenge. Get out there and accept it as a challenge. And this is one more thing. I mean, we're looking at the coaches are doing this, the coaches are doing that. you know what? The coaches are doing that. The players are doing nothing in response, and that's what I'm saying. And that's where the players need to be accountable. It's easy to sit back and say the coach is doing this and the coach is doing that. The players are doing nothing. They're not responding at all. And that, in some cases can be, a coach killer too, because, if you can't get response out of the players, then
it's like flogging a dead horse.
That's your job to get the response out of them. To be perfectly honest, I mean, your job as a football coach is to get the best out of your players. So and that's where it'll fall back. But I'll go. I would love. I would have loved over the last couple of weeks for Patrick Cripps to come out and defend his coach, because I think it's pretty bloody poor that he hasn't, to be honest, because
he has
Voss has copped all the heat. Voss has copped all the heat for everything that's happened, and it's even happening here now as we talk. It's all this, Voss has put him here and done this and done that. Well, no one's criticising the players or and that's where the players need to come together and say, pull your bloody finger out. They did it a few years back when they went to Ed Kerno's. They got together and probably had a few beers and said, it's us. It's us. We're the problem. It's not the coach. We're the problem.
Very much a player-led recovery, and all of a sudden 9 games in a row we won.
Well, that's what you can do.
It's just
what makes it happen? The players get fair income. That's what happens. They've accepted responsibility.
Why can't they do it this year? Why
aren't
they doing it this year?
Well, they should be. Go and put them in a room with a barrel of beer, and you don't come out till the barrel's empty, and get everything off your chest that you want, and let's see how we go on the weekend.
Rhys, I guess from your playing days, talking on this point, obviously you would have had some down points in your career in terms of team and the way you were traveling and stuff like that. But how hard is it for everyone to get back on board when it's all in this sort of circumstances where you're not going as good, players are out of form, you got backlash coming from the fan base and stuff like that? How hard is it for everyone to get back on the ship?
It's tough, but you know what? As I said before, your leaders lead by example. Then get out there and just work your ass off, and that's that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do right across the board. Set examples out there, and be hard on each other too. Be hard on each other. We're one of the softest teams in the competition. We're
probably the softest.
We are a very, very soft football team out there, and I don't see one nasty person. We get ragdolled and thrown around, and no one goes in and remonstrates. No one flies a flag for their teammates. No one does any acts of aggression. Newman was the only one last year who used to chirp blokes and get into them and niggle them and those sort of things. And I loved it.
Get in their places.
No one. We got no one who does that. We're a very soft football club. We'd be easy to play against.
Who do you hold responsible for that? Who do you hold responsible for the lack of
the players,
team spirit and really helping each other?
The players, the recruiters, the bloody everything.
The leadership group?
Go and recruit someone nasty with a bit of shit in him. Go and recruit someone who go Maynard's. Is his contract up or whatever? Go and get a
he re-signed.
Go and get someone like that. Who's got a bit of.
Do you think Patrick Cripps is the right man to lead the club as the captain in 2026?
Well, you got to be in there to know, but I'm disappointed.
From the outside.
Cripps carried this team for how many years now?
I'm not saying no bad word on that, but do you think he's the right man?
This year it's sort of hit a low, and Cripps' leadership I don't think's been there, and as I said before, I think it's disappointing that he hasn't come out in some sort of support for his coach over the last few weeks, and
he might have been in Arizona, but he did actually. He might have been in Arizona at the time, but he did actually come out. I think it was after the North Melbourne loss, Rhys, and him and Jacob Wiedering came out at the club, and they did a bit of a doorstop out. I think it was in the car park, to be honest. And he
Yeah,
did
well,
actually come out and say, we're right behind Vossy, and Vossy's been great for me, and,
Stay away.
we love him, and he's a great mentor, and rah, rah, rah. And then they went on to lose pathetically to Port Adelaide about 4 days later.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is that's one
All
part.
words. The actions don't back up the words.
Well, I didn't see it as I was in Arizona at the time, but from what you're saying there, he's backing his coach, but he's not accepting the responsibility that's a player's fault then. And what are the players going to do about it? And that's.
But he said him and Wiedering said, we're going to come out. We've got to give a response. It wasn't good enough against North Melbourne, and you'll see a different Carlton come out this week. Right. We certainly did. They were even worse. They were even worse against Port Adelaide. That's how different they were.
Charlie said
see,
the
a
same
lot of these things are just words. They're not backed up. They're not backed up by actions, and that's what Carlton supporters can see with their own eyes. You can talk all the bullshit you like. The post-match interviews are unwatchable at the moment because they trot out all the same bullshit lines that the club's PR department tell them to say. Whether it's Charlie Kerno, whether it's Adam Chera, I've seen all the same interviews. They all say the same crap, and then the following week they perform terribly yet again.
So snap
the way to put the heat back on them is to drop them for a start. Put blokes who are not informed or who are letting you down as a coach. Geez, I wouldn't put up with it. If I had blokes I know not going 100%, I'd be saying, hey, you're going to be running around the McGee's for quite a while until you learn how to, pull your finger out.
Well, Blake Acres. Blake Acres in that reserves game against Brisbane. Blake Acres got 9 kicks and 9 hand passes. Did not trouble the scorer. I think he had 2 or 3 tackles and just played a pretty average game in the reserves. Now, if he gets back this week, there's something dramatically wrong.
Well, there's
and by the way, Harry Lemmy, with very, very limited opportunities, every time they kicked it to him on a lead, he marked it very confidently and kicked it from 55 metres out, right through the middle. I saw a couple of goals that he kicked, beautiful goals. So I'd like
to ask you the question because I'd like to know your standpoint on it. Well, exactly what I asked Rhys. Do you believe that Cripper is the right man to lead? I mean, as far as what we can see, do you believe he's the right man to lead us in 2026 and beyond?
Yeah,
as captain.
Absolutely, he is. Absolutely, but he needs help. Is he a leader like Darcy Moore, where you're out there, the way you speak and all that? No, he's not. But he's a leader on the field. When he goes, the players go. We saw it. We've seen it in the last few years. When he's on his game, he carries everyone. I see a lot of people saying he shouldn't be captain, and they're saying, Sauce should be captain, Weeders should be captain. Absolutely not. This isn't the world game where a defender can be a captain. You need him. You need a captain in the middle. In the middle. That's your captain because it all starts in the middle. And
Luke Hodge was a halfback flank.
The team on top of the ladder's got a backman as a captain.
Nick Maxwell captained Collingwood to a premiership, and he was in the back line. I mean, it all comes down to the standards that you set and the example that you set.
You can't compare Nick Maxwell to Cripps. I mean, Nick Maxwell, please, it's like people saying to me, he won a flag. Yeah, I get that he won a flag. Mason Cox won a flag. Billy Frampton won a flag.
What I'm saying is that these players display leadership qualities. They're not necessarily the best player in the team. They're not necessarily the flashiest or the one who gets 36 possessions in the middle of the ground, but they lead the team, whether it's Darcy Moore, Nick Maxwell. They're 2 examples that have captained Collingwood to premierships. And it's hard to fault the way they captain the side. And Luke Hodge was another one.
But put it this way, I don't see one other person out there who's putting his hand up to say,
Exactly.
I'm the leader who could take over from Cripper. So
Thank
there's
you.
no one, and that's the disappointing thing, because you really need, 4, 5, 6 good leaders in your football club. You need, nearly half a dozen good leaders, blokes who are there for the jumper, who are the sultan, and just going to do what's required and lead by example and put their head over the ball and run back with a fly to the ball, do those type of things and off the field and encourage their teammates and criticise them when need be. It's a bit of everything. It's a bit of everything. But you don't just need one. You sit with one leader, you're very short stock then.
Well, the people
And
coming
we
at
haven't
me,
got one. We haven't got another person who out there who could do it.
we don't. And people coming at me mentioning the names like the Geelong, Tom Hunt. Look at the bloody list they had. Look at the list they had, and look what the list we've got. And as Rhys touched on it, who else can be a captain? You got Wiedering on the weekend who couldn't be asked to be out there. Like, you could read the play where Brisbane looked to go wide, saw where Wiedering is, and decided, you know what? We've got you where we want to, and went straight down the corridor, and Wieders was 50 metres off his man. So don't sit there and tell me, Wieders and Sauce. No, they're not. They might be leaders in that role, but they're not leaders to lead a playing group. It's Cripps. Or if you want to go down the young path, give it to Sam Walsh. Give it to someone young like him.
You know who's one for me that, look, I'm probably going to cop a bit of flack for this, but I don't care. This is my opinion. I truly believe that whether or not he's captain or he's somewhere high up in the leadership group, is Ollie Hollands. He epitomizes what a leader is on field. Yes, he may turn over the ball, may do this, but you know what? There's one thing that you can't take away from that kid is he tries his fucking heart out every single week. And you can see what he's trying to do with the ball. You can see that he's trying to look and he's trying to assess. And I've even seen him give it to a few players during games and stuff like that. And I love that from him. I love him holding people to account. You know what? And this is the thing. You need, like, obviously within reason, but you need your younger players, in a sense, holding your older players to account. They need to be held to account. Like, if we look at on the weekend, I think Rhys touched on it earlier with Matty Carroll getting caught a few times. He got caught looking to look for a pass, looking inboard. Yeah, he may have taken a bit of time. There was one stage, I think Cripps or something was around him. Oh no, it was Doherty. Where's the talk? Where's the leadership? But where is the lead? Yes, where is the leadership on field to there was no Shepherd given off. He could have easily given a Shepherd.
Can I add to that, Sebba? You know when Matty Carroll had that ball on the half-back line,
he was looking,
and you saw him hesitate.
Middle.
He was going to kick it, and then all of a sudden he took another couple of steps and he got tackled by Charlie Cameron, right? There was nobody to kick it to. That's one of the reasons he hesitated. Now, the television cameras didn't pick that up.
Only if you were
plenty
there.
of people saw it. There was nobody further up the field other than Brisbane Lions players.
And this is what pisses me off. And this is what, and I've seen it ever on social media. Oh, he's shit. Oh, he's this. Oh, he's that. For God's sake, the kid is, if you were at the game, the kid was trying to look and assess for options, but nobody works. And Rhys touches on it. The players, they're just,
they don't work hard enough.
They don't work hard enough.
The other side of it, and this is where we let ourselves down at the moment, is, and we talked about it before with McGovern running past Cooper Lord for a handball, and you're playing for your teammates. You get out there and as what do they call it? Unsacrificial acts or whatever you do for each other. To help, and that is the Shepherds. That's the talk. It's the running. It's the little things. It's just getting your body in the way of someone
teammate off the floor.
exactly, trying to help your teammate. I mean, the greatest players, they had people around them who would assist them and give them the space and time that they needed to be the great players that they were. And that's what team sport's all about. It's not about yourself. It's about about your mates out there, and they we call them teammates and whatever, but you have to value them higher than you value yourself out there. You don't have to like them as people or whatever, but out on that football field when you've got that jumper on, you do anything for them, and that's what a good teammate is, and that's what we need out there, and it can get to a stage where it's every man for himself pretty quick too, because the heat comes on and everyone goes, I've just got to run out and get my possessions and keep myself in the team and bugger anyone else sort of thing. But you've got to play for each other and you've got to have that real feel for each other, and you can chant and put your arms around each other and say what you want, but it's your actions out in the field which really are what make you a good teammate.
Shall we get on to some
I love this
guys?
comment from Mick Marcucci.
Okay.
Give it to Fantasy. Obviously, he means Orazio Fantasia for a year, as in the captaincy, and play him at half forward consistently. Call me nuts, but hang on, you've taken it off now. What did he say? Call me nuts, but when he plays, he actually directs traffic out there. Well, I can tell you he's gone off with another hamstring injury, so I think he won't be playing this week. Didn't he get subbed out with a hamstring?
Go, Snapper.
The one thing is, there's no talk. So on the weekend, you could hear a pin drop at Marvel. You can hear the Brisbane players talking, playing, direction. Carlton, it's not. And my mate Julian mentioned it to me. He went to a VFL game when they played Southport Sharks, and the Southport Sharks players were warming up, and there was energy, there was talk, there was taps on the back of the ass and getting the boys up. And he goes, the VFL side for Carlton, it was quiet. There was nothing. So, we've all played footy, and it was all about talking to your teammates, telling them you're hot. You got 5, you got 10, go. Then we don't have that.
But you know what, Snapper? Recently, there was a training session, and we had reports back that training session had zero talk. Almost, you could hear a pin drop out there. So you tend to train the way you play the way you train. So if they're not going to talk to each other and yell out at each other and encourage each other at training, why are they going to do it on match day? Go figure.
Shall we get on to some votes, guys?
Yeah, I think we should, Sebba.
Let's get on to some votes. Let's hit it. So
I think we've talked enough about that terrible game.
Yeah, so 3, 2, 1.
Yep.
Reece, you want to kick us off?
3 I've given Hewitt. Yeah, look, he once again he stood up. He got a lot of the ball, look, I think he's probably should be well ahead of our best and fairest at the moment. But Cripper, his best game for quite a while, and Nick Haynes, I thought he really put his body on the line quite a few times. I didn't like the way he rushed at players a few times trying to tackle him. He was very easily sort of out, wrong-footed. But I thought he had a real crack too. So I've been pretty happy with the way he's been going this year. And that's about it. There wasn't too much to it. Vince?
Yeah, it was another game where you had to really scratch your head and try and pick out a couple of players amongst the pack that sort of gave some effort. I'll be honest with you, I did not want to give any of our midfielders votes because even though they might have got some of the ball, have a look at this. Patrick Cripps, disposal efficiency, 61%. Adam Chera, 60%. These guys all got mid-20s in terms of disposals, but they're going at 60-odd%. Motlop, 64%. Doherty, 61%. Zach Williams, 64%. And by the way, Charlie Kerno was somewhere in the 50s.
What you
But
go?
I ended up giving it to a couple of defenders who battled hard all night. I thought Nick Haynes was our best defender, so I gave him the 3, and I thought Lockie Cowan also did another good job backing up from his really good job last week against Collingwood. And I actually gave a vote to Pitnet, who probably battled hard all night in the ruck in terms of hit-outs. Didn't do necessarily a lot around the ground, but, geez, when he had that bit of a purple patch at the end of the first quarter and also during the second quarter, he really gave us some life, and I thought he deserved the vote. And I thought that torpedo at quarter time was absolutely sensational.
Yep.
But the only thing we could cheer about all night.
I'd like Bangkok Joe's one. Obviously, you can see it on screen.
Yeah, you go for it. Yep.
He gave, obviously, Hewitt the 3, Haynes the 2, and 1 to Cowan. Now, for me...
What did you do, Seb?
For me, I went for a bit of a... I don't think... I wanted to mention it earlier, but Harry O'Farrell, for me, the 3 was Hewitt. The 2 I probably would have given to Pitney, and 1 I'll give it to Harry O'Farrell. I think he battled well all night. He really there was a few contests where he showed a lot of maturity in the contest. The way he handled the ball, the way he composed himself. He's probably been out of the kids that we've played this year. I think he's been the most composed and the most confident in the way he's playing at this level. So yeah, I thought Harry O'Farrell for me. I give him the 1. He was.
And you know what else? He came off.
Can I jump in there? Because I think the last time that Harry O'Farrell played, we spoke about that, but then Silvani came back in and he went straight out.
Yeah, I really hope
last week he had a bit of a howler. I mean, he was exposed completely by our defenders against Collingwood. And they could easily have dropped him on that performance, but I've got to say I was happy to see him retain his spot, and I think he repaid the faith against Brisbane. I agree with Sebba. He deserves at least a special mention, if not a vote.
But if Silvani comes back this week, does he go straight out again?
I want him to work for his spot, but it is what it is. Snapper, you're 3, 2, 1.
Dropping O'Farrell. I wouldn't be dropping O'Farrell. I'd be bringing in Lemmy and put him up in the forward line against Melbourne as well. Why not?
Yep.
Go on, Snapper.
Melbourne aren't that flash.
Go on, Snapper.
What about you, Jacob?
Vince, everyone looks flash against us, mate.
I gave flash. We'll make them look flash next week, but they're not really that flash.
I gave 3 to Pitternet.
Who'd you give your 3, 2, 1 to, mate?
3 to Pitternet. He was unbelievable. I think he showed that he's our number 1 ruckman. Don't care. Like, when we were up and running a few years ago, it was Pitternet out of the middle. All right, forget about around the grounds. He might not be but he does the 1%ers, and I love it. I gave 2 to Cripps. That was probably his best game that he's played in a long time. And I gave 1 to Nick Haynes. Nick Haynes, I was a bit iffy on him the first couple of weeks, but he's really settled in and obviously had a big club. It takes time, and he settled in nicely. And I love what he said a couple of weeks ago, that it's if you're not going to play your role, you're not going to be in this team. And I loved when he said that. Unfortunately, I don't think the coaches see it the same way, and I think they should, because he's been around the traps a very, very long time. So I think the coaches should be listening to what he has to say when he says, if you don't play the team role, there's someone else coming in. And I think that has to happen this week. So Nick Haynes for 1.
I've got a question to point out from the chat, actually. Quick one from Tony Parche. What do you guys think of TDK getting the Bronx cheer when he took the mark in the third quarter?
Good.
You got to cop that sort of stuff. It's just part and parcel of it. And the supporters, put it this way, they pay their money. They can come in and say and yell and scream and say basically whatever they want within reason of, without trying to murder someone or whatever. But particularly Collingwood supporter did, basically you pay your money, you've got a right to I laughed the week before when the Collingwood supporters were singing the St Kilda theme song, to TDK when he's in the. I mean, we
They were
always have a bit
trolling
of
him.
fun out there. Yeah, we always have a bit of fun out there. So you're going to cop that, and what you need to do, you need to win it and wear it. And what TDK needs to do is shove it up him. Shove it up him. The only way he can do that is out on the footy field, kicking goals, taking
Take on
marks.
next week.
And shift.
Don't
Jack
just jump in your shell and hide because there's nowhere to hide out there.
Yeah, Chef Jack, the Bronx Cheers was definitely for TDK, that's for sure. Shall we get on to Reese's Spirit of Carlton? Oh, the leaderboard, sorry. Hewitt leading
Hewitt's
the
good
leaderboard
ahead
at
again.
53. Paddy Cripps, 44 votes. Jacob Wiedering, 34. Chera, 31. And Tom DeConning on 28 votes. Has that changed since last week?
Yeah, I think you'll find Hewitt's gone up a bit. Cripps has gone up a bit.
Gone up.
So, of course, these are the votes as judged by Reese and myself and Bangkok Joe.
And
But, so we've taken those all every week. So, it looks like Hewitt's got a pretty good lead. But nevertheless, there's still another 6 games to go, so it's still up for grabs.
Yep. Shall we get into Reese's Spirit of Carlton?
Spirit of
Absolutely.
Carlton, yes.
The weekly Spirit of Carlton winner. Let's put up the
this week.
Hang on,
this
Reece.
week goes to the big fella, Mark Pitnet, for all the reasons that Snapper said, and that torpedo was something special, wasn't it? Go back and line up and
fantastic.
That was a grand final.
I'll tell you what. How many people do you see? Outside 50 going for a torp, and it goes off the side. It's they become a bit of a laughing stock, and everyone has a laugh at quarter time or whatever. But he hit it. He connected with it and went through. And to be perfectly honest, I think he had a pretty good game. He rucked, first ruck most of the game, and he kept going. I don't think their rucks had any influence over the game. So it was. Geez, my energy saver's coming on here. I don't know what that means.
Probably means the
any...
PC's going to die.
I think if I black out in a second, you know why.
And next week's
Melbourne,
game, round 19,
this week.
Saturday. MCG primetime against the Demons, who got up today against North Melbourne. I think they ran away with it at the end. Your guys' thoughts on it? Reece, we'll start off with you, because I know you have to leave soon.
Well, I think my computer's going to go in a minute. Oh, look, I've gone for Carlton. I think if we get a few players back, we get Sauce, Walshy, maybe, Harry back this week. We can give it a shake. And Melbourne aren't in that good a form. So we've had the wood over them over the last couple of years. So
we have.
Yeah.
Our last three outings. Our last 3 outings, we've beaten them by a combined total of 7 points.
Well, that's why we've put 3 there.
Let's just hope we don't get Petrarca playing one out the square, kicking 5 again, unstoppable. But So Reece, is your time to head off, mate?
Yeah, just about. I think the computer's going to SHIT itself in a second.
About to cark it. Oh, and the tipping ladder before you go.
I'm giving Reece a chance to catch up to me by tipping Melbourne. But if Melbourne wins, I'll get 2 ahead of him.
There we go.
I thought I'd give you a chance.
I think put it this way. I think we'll know at the selection table this week. We've got an extended break, haven't we? Because
that's it.
I think we're playing the
9-day break versus their 6. Yep.
Yeah, so it's going to be beneficial.
The last time we had a 9-day break and the opposition had 6 was when we played Geelong back in April, and we put on a really good 4-quarter performance. So you never know, we might do the same.
Yep. We do need to get some good players back in there, though. That selection's going to be pretty important. But
that's it.
Yep, so I just hope they get rid of the right people if they do bring in, the players who will be coming back.
Let's hope they're listening to us right now, and they're listening to you. Hey?
No worries, guys. It's been good again, and go the Mighty Blues, and let's not give up too much hope. And look, put it on the player. As I said, let's put it on the players now. Let's make sure that they get out and start playing like a football team, and that's what we need.
That's it.
Okay.
Agreed.
Thanks,
mate.
guys.
Thanks for your input tonight, Reece. Love you,
All the
mate.
best, mate.
No
Take
worries.
care, mate. Well, that was David Rhys Jones, ladies and gentlemen. What a superstar he is. What an absolute superstar he is, and how blessed we are to have him on the channel, which no other channel has a resident premiership player, do they?
That's
But
right. What I was interested in is how he's putting it on the players rather than the coach. I think the difficult thing with that is if they keep playing this type of football week in, week out and continue to do so, most clubs will make the same decision. They're not going to sack 46 players on your list.
Well,
They're
I think
just
that's
not.
the thing. If we lose this, even if he goes on Monday or whatever.
For example, Sebba, can I just take you back to the end of 2021, right?
Mm-hmm.
We sacked David Teague and his assistants. Collingwood, earlier that season, said goodbye to Nathan Buckley. They were in the bottom 4.
Yeah.
And within one season, Craig McRae, basically the same batch of players, got them into the top 4 from the bottom 4. And then the following year, they won a flag. Now, what does that tell you about? What does that tell you about the change of mood, the change of mentality, the change of culture, the change of mindset that a really good senior coach surrounded by a group of really good assistants can all of a sudden turn exactly the same playing group around from being bottom 4 to top 4?
Yeah.
Now, I can just tell Snapper what you want. You want to respond to that?
I'll go quickly, then Snap. I'll let you go. Rip.
I want to let loose on that, Vince.
I'll let you rip. I'm letting it build inside of you. You know what I mean? I'll let it build.
I'll be honest with you. Whether Reece has got a point about the players, and I agree with him, the players are piss weak. They've never been held accountable. But the reality is, as a group, they hold a lot more power than one senior coach who can't get the best out of them.
Well,
or at least not get the best out of them anymore.
Yeah. Before I go quickly, we do have over 160 in the chat right now. Please do hit that like button. Please do hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. We're almost at 3,000 subscribers, and we're trying to push for that 3K before the end of the year. So you don't have to buy any memberships. We're not asking for that. Just hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and share it out to your friends.
Doesn't cost you a cent to subscribe.
Family. Yeah, we're not asking for your money. We're asking for your love. But I do understand what Reece says. I do agree with him to a point, but then also it's just you can just see that the directive from the coaches they're fucking everywhere. Pardon my French, but they're just everywhere. And again, this is one, and I was a bit more harsh on him at the start of the year, but the Jesse Motlop thing, I understand he's not everyone's favorite player. I understand that. And I understand he hasn't been the greatest this year, but he's been continuously being played out of position, right? He should just let him sit there in the forward line. Yes, all right, if he has his string of games where he's not good, drop him. I'm sure there's someone to bring in, but for God's sake, it's just some of the directives from the coaching, because where else is it coming from, really? It's coming from the coaching. It's just everywhere. For me, I believe Voss isn't the man to coach us to our next premiership, but I mean, time will tell. Time will tell. Snapper?
So as Reece was saying, put it on the players, right? But it also comes down to the coaches dropping those players making them realise why they're being dropped. So when you give games to players like Akers, Doherty, and all those players, they don't see they don't see how bad they are because they're getting selected every single week. So Akers gets dropped, but the season is done when it should have been done months ago. So when you start dropping senior players, it's shaking up the playing group, saying we don't care.
Sort of thing.
who you are. We don't care how much you're on. If you're not going to do the team thing, you're out. You're gone to the VFL. Go get your craft back, and maybe we'll think about getting you in. That's what Collingwood does, right? And Vince, you made a very, very good point. McRae took them from a bottom 4 team to a prelim and probably should have got a grand final out of it. But, you know, that went against them with the umpiring in the final moments. That's football, right? But when I look at Collingwood, I listened to McRae. He was pissed off on the weekend. He was fuming.
Yeah.
Fuming. Now, Freo have Collingwood this week in Melbourne on Sunday. I would not want to be playing Collingwood this week. I can tell you that much, right? But when you got a coach like Voss every week saying, oh, it's not about the scoreboard. It's about getting our game right. Mate, you can have every stat under the sun in the universe in your favor, but that bloody scoreboard is all that matters at the end of the game, okay? If you've watched the world game, you can have 30 shots on target, but the opposition has 1 and they win 1-0. That coach doesn't go, oh, well, we had 30 shots on target. He'll look at it and go, no, we failed to score and we didn't win. But with Voss, it's all about, oh, but we played our game right. We're really good in the contest. Vossy, focus on the scoreboard. If that's not ticking over, then you're doing something wrong as a coach. That means something terribly wrong is going on. And we've touched on it. The forward line. Aaron Hamill came from St Kilda as a forwards coach to be a defensive coach at Carlton. What crap is that? What crap is that? Aaron Hamill, a forward, he played full forward. You bring him in from the Saints as a forward coach and you stick him as a defensive coach and you're wondering why our forwards aren't working? Seriously, and then you got Tim Clark, 94 AFL games in 8 years. And I don't want to see one person say to me, oh, but Snapper, you've never played AFL. It doesn't matter. Whether I've played it or not, I've watched it enough. I've played it at junior and senior level. I've seen enough football to understand that if someone played 94 games of AFL football, is the midfielders who have played close to 200 games or more, are they really going to take you seriously? They're going to look at... Yeah. I didn't even know who Tim Clark was. I had to research him last week, who Tim Clark was. And I'm like, oh my God, really? You look at...
Can you tell the rest of us?
I forgot. You look at Collingwood, Brisbane, Geelong, Giants, Adelaide. You look at Hawthorn. You look at their assistant coaches, big names. You look at Carlton, Jordan Russell, hack. Tim Clark, whatever. Aaron Hamill, great player, did well at St Kilda. They've ruined him and been putting him in defensive coach. What?
Hang on, Snapper. What about the reverse? Now you got Jordan Russell, who played all of his football as a defender, coaching our forwards.
Go figure, Vince. Go figure. So you look at it as a player and you go, it's the same bullshit message from Voss every single week. And you go, maybe it is time for go and to get a fresh face in there. But like I said to Rhys, what happens if we get rid of the assistant coaches and keep Voss, but next year, round 10, we haven't improved. We're still the same. What do you do then? Do you turn around and go, this is the question? You flip the coin at Carlton, and if it lands on heads, you sack Voss, and if it lands on tails, you keep him, and if you fail next year again, you can't complain about it.
And this is the gamble, and I guess in the terms of like sacking Voss and sacking him before the end of the start of sacking him before the start of next season, or keeping him and rolling him around again with another bunch of assistant coaches. I guess this is the gauntlet we now are running as a club. This is now the position that we are in, which. Look, it's ideally it's not a good position to go in, because either way it goes, if it goes south, it's just gonna rip the club into an even deeper and deeper hole than what it already is in at the moment, and we're in a pretty deep hole. But that was great. I think it's time for.
We all know, Sebba, we all know that it's Graham Wright's responsibility as of
I
the
understand.
15th of August
Yeah.
officially, but literally he's almost got his hands on the wheels of the football department now anyway. It's up to him to determine whether the players are responding to the coach in the way that you would want them to, whether they believe in the game plan or not. It's up to him to do all of that research and all of that fact-finding and all of that due diligence in order to come up with a whole series of recommendations for the board to tick off on. That could mean a total clean out of the football department from Brad Lloyd down. It could mean a whole heap of new assistants being required. It could mean the senior coach has to be replaced. It could mean, the fitness and, high performance staff need to be changed. I don't know. It's up to him to come up with the recommendations of what he believes needs to happen in order for us to go in the right direction towards a premiership. Now, just like Rhys said, we need to be aiming for a premiership. And anything less than that means you're not aiming high enough. It's no good to just say, we want to just aim to make finals. That's not setting the bar.
Let me quickly point out a comment. Let me quickly point out a comment from a channel favorite who comes on Forever Rivals. Check it out on Wednesdays. Black and White United. Let me tell you a fact, lads. No senior coach since Mick Malthouse at his second club has won a flag since 2010. All the flag winners since 2011 have had new senior coaches. Time to get a senior assistant.
And if you want to go back further, it's not since Lee Matthews coached Brisbane Lions to 3 premierships in 2001, 2002 and 2003. He was the previous coach that coached at his second club, of course, after coaching Collingwood to a premiership in 1990. So since him, you had Mark Williams in 2004. That was his first club, Port Adelaide. Paul Roos at Sydney Swans. John Worsfold at West Coast. And then, of course, you had Bomber Thompson at Geelong and of course, Alistair Clarkson at Hawthorn. So, it's only been Matthews and Malthouse that are the exceptions in the last 25 years.
Let me point out another... Sorry, Snapper, just quickly before you go on, let me just point out another comment. I thought I found this funny from Julian Muscat. I want you blokes at my funeral debating about our assistant coaches at the altar. I love it.
Julian,
I love it.
Seriously?
Thank you, Julian, for tuning in again. Once again, thank you very much, mate.
We've been messaging all night on the phone, Julian and I, so...
Legend. But go on, Snapper. Sorry, I cut you off.
I was going to say, so... When Wright did the interviews at Collingwood, Voss was 4th choice. 4th. Let that sink in. Not 2nd or 3rd. 4th. That tells you that. But that tells you what Wright thought of him as to come in as a coach. Now, I told Mars this throughout the year. I listened to the Backchat podcast, and they spoke to Warren Treadray, and he spoke about Mark Williams, and everything Mark Williams has touched has turned to gold. And I said to Mars, why don't we go to him and poach him and get him to the club? Like Treadray spoke about all the assistant coaches that have gone on to be great assistant coaches at premiership teams in the comp since leaving Port Adelaide, thanks to Mark Williams. Why don't we, we are the biggest club with Collingwood, and I will not debate that we are bigger. We're on par with them. But the fact that when McRae started and Voss started, I would honestly say our list was almost slightly ahead of theirs. We had the talent there, but We haven't got the
according to our president, we had the list to win a premiership, and the expectations were to be making finals and competing for a flag.
2023 wasn't coaching. 2023 was skills. That was talent that got the job done. Just think, we beat Collingwood by 5 goals that year. We went on a rampage. It was talent. It was skill. It wasn't coaching. The players
Where's it all gone?
got up and did it.
Where's it all gone?
It's gone because you know what, Vince? There is no more belief at the club. There is no more. It's shot. So
the spirit's been drained, hasn't it?
It's gone.
The spirit of that team has been drained. Yeah.
And Andreas from Black and White, great mate of mine, best mate, and he touched on it that no coaches, but records are there to be broken. Stats are there to be rewritten. Well, I've said it. Adam Simpson won a premiership with West Coast in 2018 with an average list. Average list. A lot of so-called commentators have said the same. And when you listen to him speak, it is unbelievable. And I've said it. If I want to coach, there are 2. Adam Simpson and Nathan Buckley. Because Nathan Buckley rebuilt Collingwood and almost got them to glory. Almost. That takes a lot to do. A lot to do. And I don't care whether he's the past about Collingwood. Forget about that. It's what he can do as a coach. And he proved it at Collingwood.
You know what's a big issue with us too? And before we get into the Vince's segment, I don't know how many times we've all said it. We're a team of losers. Let's be real here, yeah? We're a team of individual winners, but we're a team of losers. We've been that for 25 years, right? And losers breed losers. Am I right or am I wrong? You got kids coming up and they're getting taught shitty habits. They're getting taught this. They're getting taught that. We need a player or a few players in there that have been there and done it. I.e., and I copped flack for it last week, and I'm going to say it again because it doesn't get brought up enough in the media nor anywhere. Go and get a premiership player. Go and get a player like Camden McIntosh. He's won 3 goddamn flags. Whether or not anyone in the chat thinks that he's a great player, yeah, he may not be the greatest player. He may not be the best player, but it doesn't matter. He's won flags. He's better than some of the players we've got in the team at the moment. We should have got Parker last year. We should have got him. We should have gone for Gunston when he wanted to leave Brisbane. You know what I mean? Why not go and try and pry a Liam Ryan out of West Coast? You know what I mean?
Look at Tim Membry at Collingwood. Killing it. They got him for free. And he's killing it. They've turned him into almost an A-grader. Laugh at me for saying that. But he's almost an A-grader. He turned it around on Friday night.
But what I'm talking about, Snapper, is we need premiership experience in there. We need premiership experience in there.
Why don't they come? The coach. The coach.
It may be. Yeah, it may be.
The McRae, Collingwood have no issues. They can get Geelong have no issues. Brisbane have no issues. Why does Carlton?
And that's a good. And DC, it's a great comment. A lot of bad attitudes in this team, and you're right. You can see it out on the field. You can definitely see it out on the field. Another comment by Jeff Wilson. Gentlemen, if we are looking to change the coach, then go and get Buckley with Hodge or Bartel as senior assistant. Bartel too. I do like. I like Bartel. We'll run.
He won't do it though.
Run through a couple comments just before we get into the segment.
There's only one problem. With that idea, as good as it sounds.
What is it?
They've got to want to come, and it's common knowledge in AFL circles that the Carlton senior coaching job is a poison chalice. Why? Because of the culture at this football club. and it's never going to change unless you've got to change it from the top down. And just replacing one coach with another one is not going to be the answer. It hasn't been the answer for the last 24 years. What makes you think that doing it yet again for the 8th or 9th time is going to be different to the last 8?
Judd didn't help us.
But it's the same as saying if we keep him, but nothing changes next year.
There's another one. The Messiah mentality. The Messiah mentality. How many Messiahs do you want me to list that we're going to change the club and we're going to save us and we're going to bring us to the promised land? How many do you want me to name?
Yeah, Judd didn't help us win a premiership. One player isn't going to change the whole culture. I think Judd did change the culture at the club, and players have said it. I think it was Jared Waite in an interview the boys did.
He didn't change the culture. What he did is he raised the standards in certain areas.
Yeah, raised the standards.
Especially when it came to eating habits, training standards, things like that. But that's one of the reasons why we all of a sudden made the finals 3 years in a row, 2009, 10 and 11.
And who was the coach?
You know,
Brett Ratton.
And Ratton also had his standards as well. So anyway,
and want to apologise later.
We'll leave this discussion here, but let's move on. It's time to get onto the newly rebranded Vin Kerno. Vince.
Oh my God. I don't think I've ever had a facial expression like that.
Bullshit.
Where did you manage to create that?
Dug the archives.
You'll have to introduce that with some you'll have to introduce that with some music as well, Sebba, in future weeks, you know.
Anyway, Vince, the chat's going off. The floor is yours.
Chat's going off already, is it?
The floor is yours.
Well,
yeah, it is. Vince, the floor is yours, mate.
Okay. I'll try and be brief. Now, my segment this week is in relation to the 15-word text message which was labelled a threat on Michael Voss's life by the mainstream media and the AFL and the MCC and both Carlton and Collingwood football clubs, etc., and landed this guy with 5-year bans, not only from MCG and Marvel Stadium, I think, at any Carlton or Collingwood go, because he ended up being a Collingwood member, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not condoning what he did, not one bit. It was a stupid thing to do, and it was a sick attempt at humour, in my opinion. And he chose his words very, very poorly. And when you start using words like murderer in your text message, you're going to be basically at the mercy of the authorities, because in today's day and age, you know, they'll jump on anything, whether it's a Facebook post or whether it's a text message or what it is. But this guy apparently sent it off to the AFL's, what do they call it there at the ground, where you can
anti-behaviour social hotline.
Anti-social behaviour text message line or whatever it is. Now, my view on this is the same as what Lee Matthews said during the week when he was on radio. And it's interesting the wording that's used in the media reports, because when we first got to learn about this, they didn't tell us what was in the text message. All they did was say that it was a threat on Michael Voss's life. Now, I don't know about you, but I assumed it must have come from a disgruntled Carlton supporter. Who else would want to take his life? Oh, no, not you, Snapper, sure.
Shut up, you dickhead.
Well, mate, my name got mentioned that many times. People thought it was me.
I thought you meant the other way.
Is that why you're pointing to yourself?
No.
I thought you were pointing to yourself because you were saying you wanted to take his life.
Sorry.
No, my name got mentioned.
Let's just what was said was I do not agree with. No, nor
Absolutely.
do any of us agree with. It's completely out of order. But Vince, continue.
Well, as was reported, I'll just go by the Fox Footy story here, which was online. And they talked about the 15-word Voss text threat that got this Magpie fan banned from AFL games for 5 years. The Collingwood member who directed a threatening message at Carlton coach Michael Voss. Now, I don't think that message was directed at Michael Voss, for starters. Has received a 5-year ban from AFL, all AFL and AFLW matches and the MCG. The man's threatening text message was left on the MCG's anti-social hotline service during the Blues loss to Collingwood last Friday night and referenced a brutal end to his life. Well, that's debatable. Brutal end. Okay. It was passed on to the AFL Integrity Unit and then the Blues, and while not treated as a credible threat, was enough for the MCG security team to pass it on. Now, I'll just say this about it. I think what's happened here is that the mainstream media's jumped on this to make a story out of it, and this guy is going to end up being the scapegoat for both the AFL and the MCG and everyone else, because they don't want this sort of messaging coming out. And I can understand that, but don't lie to the public. My issue is how they did not come out straight away and let us know exactly what was in that text message. Because the way it sounded, the way they were reporting it, before they let us know what was in the message, you would have thought that some disgruntled Carlton fan had threatened Michael Voss's life directly, actually threatened his life directly. Now, this guy, I think, was trying to be a smart aleck, sending a text message to that service and saying, wanting to report 23 missing players or whatever he said, and the preemptive murder of Michael Voss. Choice of words was pathetic, right? No question. He's an absolute idiot. And I don't condone his behaviour in not at all. But no, don't try and make it out like it was someone who was angry and directing their anger at Michael Voss and threatening to kill him. He was trying to be funny, and it was a sick joke that just did not land. Lee Matthews agreed with this stance. In fact, I think he said that on his way back from the game, or the following day, he was in a taxi and the taxi driver said something like, "Oh, geez, that's pretty terrible how Michael Voss, had someone threatening his life." And Lee Matthews thought, well, there's someone who's only listened to the headlines and doesn't have any details on what the real truth of the matter is. So, of course, Carlton and Collingwood have gone with the politically correct line that the AFL's gone down and all the rest of it. And they've basically approved of the 5-year ban and all that sort of thing. I won't take up much more of your time, but all I want to say is that Michael Voss, when he had his press conference a day or two later, they said that he delivered a passionate response on Wednesday morning. This is last Wednesday, one day before the Carlton-Brisbane game, declaring that the passion of fans shouldn't be about anger. And I'm going to quote him here. You go into a little bit of reflection mode through these weeks. I remember as a 4-year-old following my dad around and spending time in the sheds. He was captain, coach of everything. And you remember those moments really fondly. I always felt like football made you feel like you belong. And that's what football clubs are all about. You have a sense of belonging. It's about families, about communities. It's about bringing people together. I also remember as a 12-year-old at Morningside Football Club and having a brand new footy. It was like the best gift I ever got. It was my first brand new Sharon. I don't know what any of this has got to do with the message. But anyway, he went off on a bit of a tangent.
Can I
Then he said, I've also seen the dark side of football, where we blame, where we become victims. And it's this environment where things are quite toxic. We think by showing passion, is it about anger? And it's not about that at all. So when you see both, it's what you choose for me. So when I turn up for football and I turn up on the weekend, I look at that 4-year-old and think about what families are and communities and how we bring people together and what we want our environment to be. And that's what it's supposed to be about. It's about bringing people together. So that is extremely important to me. Now, I think Michael Voss must have assumed that this came from a Carlton supporter, because why would he be saying that about a Collingwood member?
I think we all did.
If Michael Voss is trying to say that Carlton supporters can't be passionate just because they're angry, just because they're not happy with the way the team's performing, and just because they want to point the finger at whether it's coaches, players, the board, whoever, does that mean that they can't be passionate in that way? I disagree with him. I don't think that passionate supporters should have to temper their feelings because, we've all got to stay together. This is where this stronger together message keeps getting rammed down everyone's throat, because they don't want us to rebel against the club. And it's all being pushed from every level of the club, whether it's the president, the coach, the director of football, the general manager of football, Patrick Cripps, the captain, all the players. They're all saying the same lines because they're trying to prevent the supporters from being angry and upset about the way we're going.
Yeah, because the club goes into damage. The club goes into damage.
So anyway, that's my view on it. You can agree or disagree, but I don't think that the media was responsible or truthful and honest with the public about what that text message was really all about. And if we had been told exactly what was in it, then maybe we could have made up our own minds about what it was really all about.
But as Scotty says, that's what you said, Vince. We can't criticize anyone at the club anymore because you get called a so-called bad supporter, or you should go support another team. Well,
everyone's got to be like everyone's got to be like Karen, like us. Is her name Karen? Sorry, Mary.
Mary.
You know what my view on that is?
I said Karen on purpose.
You know, I know. You know,
clap them off the ground when they have a 56-point loss. Clap them off the ground when they have another 50-point loss.
To the people who go and say to the so-called bad supporters for criticising, go and shove it where the sun doesn't shine. I will not stop supporting another club, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we are all entitled to our own opinions on the club, whether or not I agree with Vince, because I disagree with Vince. I disagree with Snapper on some things. Whether or not we all disagree with each other, but we agree to disagree.
But that's normal discourse, Sebba.
Yeah, correct. But
discourse.
this is the problem, and I think we're sort of getting into Sebba's spray now. And this is the problem with the fan base now. You get criticised and called out for saying one thing, but in the end of the day, all we want is to see Carlton win a flag. That's our main goal here, is it not? No one wants to see us in the doldrums being shit for another 25 years, because that's all I've watched. And whether or not you guys agree with me for saying I want Voss out, or I may disagree with Joe or whatever, it doesn't matter. Just because you have an opinion doesn't give anyone else in the supporter base to talk down on you or to call you a fake supporter and to tell you to go and support 100%. Another team. So to 100%. The people that, and also to the people that say, "Oh, why don't you go out there and do it? Well, you couldn't do a better job. I didn't sign up."
That is an absolutely childish, immature, and ridiculous argument. And I heard Mary say that about Sebba when she was interviewed on 3AW. Not Sebba, Snapper. When she was interviewed on 3AW that night, saying, "Well, why don't you get out there, Snapper, and show us how you can kick the ball?" What a stupid, dumb, idiotic comment. As if it's up to us supporters to go out there and kick the ball. No, they're being paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, some of them even over $1 million a year, to do that. Okay? How can you use that as an argument against someone who has an opinion just because that opinion is expressed passionately to a radio station because you're completely, beyond, your wits, putting up with the rubbish that our club serves up week after week?
But Vince,
that is a terrible thing to be saying to any supporter, that you're not entitled to have your opinion just because you're passionate about it.
But she
Ridiculous.
did say also, well, like when she said that about me, why don't I get to have a kick? But then she turned around and said, but the players need to stand up. So which one is it, sweetheart?
Just
You want me to have a kick or the players to stand up? The thing with
Don't
the
even
whole,
go this, Snapper.
I know, but
You don't have to defend yourself
know
against a ridiculous argument like hers.
No,
It's
I
not
know, but
even
the
worth
thing-
defending yourself on it.
the thing about this whole what you said about Voss's speech, he says there's a way to behave and we need to go about it. When things are tough, you've got to show to support the right way, not the wrong way. If there's a measure for some people on what that should look like, then I'm sorry, you don't belong here.
Yeah, that's a terrible thing to say.
We'll make sure that we continue to bring a supporter base that will support in the good times and in the bad times. Let me tell you this.
How do you define support in the bad times?
To Voss and to the board and to those who write the speeches, I was there before you. I will be there after you.
Correct.
Okay? To the cheer squad morons, to the morons in the cheer squad, I saw the comments. They got sent to me by one of my mates in the cheer squad Facebook group. Half of those F-wits were not even present on Thursday night at the game. It was empty. But I turned up. We all turned up. Just like I'll do on Saturday night against Melbourne, against Hawthorn coming up, against Port Adelaide, against Essendon. I will turn up. Okay? The difference is half of these people, they're in the cheer squad because it guarantees them grand final tickets.
But it even goes past.
And they agree with everything the club says. But I can tell you right now, if you got half of them in a room by themselves and what they really thought of the club, I can tell you right now, the club would want them removed from the cheer squad. Your real members, Carlton Football Club, your real members are not in the cheer squad. They're on the wings or they're next to the cheer squad. They're your real members because they will tell you how it is straight down the line. No veering, straight down the line. And how dare you paint Sebba, Vince, me, Rocco, Mars, Paul, all the members with the same brush as the supporter. They thought and they straight away said this and this and this because they thought it was a Carlton supporter. Instead of, where's our apology? They should be apologising for that speech that Voss let out because that is insulting. That is an absolute disgrace.
But you know what the thing is, Snapper? It goes beyond the cheer squad. It goes beyond the cheer squad. It goes further than that. Because it's a large portion of the fan base that does point out people like us, the so-called naysayers or the so-called Voss out brigade and whatever you want to label it, whatever shit you want to put us down to or whatever. It goes far beyond that because everyone else thinks that they have a voice. They are the voice of the voiceless or they speak for others. I don't care. We should all be able to say what we like about the club, about the players within context. Obviously, no racial shit, none of that stuff. I don't condone any of that. Nor sending dumb messages or whatever. But we should all be able to have our say within reason. You know what I mean? I'm getting sick of. No, I'm not just saying for me. I'm saying for everyone that you are looked down upon for this. But what can you do? I mean, that's the landscape it is. That's the landscape it is. But
I messaged Rocco last week that I didn't want him, and he mentioned it in the thing on the Jumper Punch, the show, where he goes, I never said I speak for the majority. She put words in my mouth. And as Rocco, we all speak for ourselves. He never mentioned my name because it's the Rocco. I want to lay low. People wanted to ring up the radio station. I said, no. I said, you know why? Because even though 95% of the comments have come my way in favour, I just thought, I've just, like my mate said to me, what you've said has been said. And if they're not listening to it, they never will listen to it. And the time they'll listen to it, it'll be too little, too late. Just like our crowd on Thursday night, 31,000. But Bulldogs and Adelaide got 42. We've got 100,000.
A lot of people that reckon it was nowhere near 30,000 the other night.
There was more Brisbane than Carlton. If that's not a message to the football club to wake up and listen to your members, Mr. Presley, fucking whatever his name is, said, when Terry asked him, do you listen to the outside noise? No, we don't. Well, here's to you, President. Maybe you should, because I can tell you right now, this Saturday night at the MCG, it's going to be a piss-poor crowd, mate. Just like the Hawthorn game, just like the Port game. It's going to be poor, and the members aren't going to turn up. And until
and you're not going to have the Melbourne members there because it's an away game for them, and they're probably all at the snow.
That's it.
Vince, and the snow was beautiful on Friday, Vince. It was great up at the snow on Friday. It was amazing. So they're going to be up there. Saturday night's going to be cold. The members aren't going to turn up. That sends them vote. Don't vote about your voices anymore. Vote with your feet. Don't go. If you love your club, you're going to turn up. But when you don't turn up, it's the message.
Can I just pose a question here? Can you imagine if all of us did exactly what Michael Voss just said that we should do? Can you imagine a world in which no Carlton supporters ever ring up radio stations and get upset at how we're playing? No calls to open line chat saying, and nothing on social media where we criticise the coach or the players. We just we're all just blind supporters, like members of a cult. We all just turn up week after week, and whether we're in good times or whether we're in bad times, we're just here to support the team and show them encouragement.
It'll never happen.
And they keep letting us down week after week, and we just keep tolerating it, and we keep shelling out our hard-earned money year after year, but we're not allowed to have an opinion, so we don't express it. Now, can you imagine a world like that? Imagine if we abided by everything that the club and Michael Voss has told us that we ought to do.
It'll never happen. It'll never happen.
Hey,
It'll never happen.
You know what? This is all part of the Stronger Together brainwashing PR stunt, okay? It's to brainwash the Carlton fan base into submission. Don't express your opinion if you're angry. Don't express your opinion if it's critical of the club or the coach or the players. Shut up. It's all designed to muzzle us. That's what they want to do. And anyone who does speak up, like Snapper did, is to be condemned, is to be censored, is to be removed, right? I'm telling you, that's what they want to do. And anyone who dares have an opinion that's contrary to theirs is seen to be the enemy.
What would happen to Collingwood if they were in our position right now? How do you reckon their supporters would be? They were filthy after the loss to Gold Coast, and that Pendlebury was the sub, and they're first. Yeah. So just imagine what would happen to Collingwood if they were in our shoes. They'd burn the club down.
Wait up. But at
least their supporters can leave that ground saying, hey, okay, Gold Coast outplayed us in the first half, but have a look at the effort, to come back and even take the lead.
You know what I'd like to point out too? One of my best mates is a 20-plus year Richmond supporter, right? Member, right? And goes to all the games. He's sick in the head, right? And we always talk about the days of the Terry Wallace days and those mid-2000s, early 2010s when they used to cop it, when the players were getting spat on at the players' race. My mate always tells me about it, right? And he says what is going on with our fan base and the way we are venting on our team, our players, our coaching staff, whatever, is almost identical to the way Richmond, even his dad says it to me, the way Richmond fans were back in the day. But the difference is now social media is much more of a much more of a factor than what it was back then. So it's more we are louder. You know what I mean? We are heard more than those race day
There are more
goers.
voices out there.
Yeah, because the only people that would know about that sort of stuff were your race day goers, unless it got
Mm.
featured on the news or something like that. But now
Yep.
we're heard, just like
We are
our
the
show.
news.
That's it. Just like our show tonight.
Mainstream.
Just
Listen,
like
no one, anyone who's got half a brain out there, I hope you've all woken up to what the mainstream media is all about. And I tried to illustrate that point in my segment tonight. The mainstream media lies to us. They distort the truth and they don't come out with the facts. And the way everything's portrayed is distorted to suit their narratives. It's just like when all of that graffiti appeared on the outside of the club's walls. It no longer was about how disgruntled Carlton supporters are and the reasons for it. It was all about how terrible it was that someone put graffiti on the wall. And that's the problem with people like that, like the idiots that did that. That's the problem with it. It takes away from what we should be focusing on, which is the justifiable anger that Carlton supporters have for the way the team's been performing.
Correct. And before you keep going, Vince, and before I touch on it a little further, Carl's comment is you couldn't be any more spot on. Social media hasn't created Carlton's problems. It's just made them impossible to ignore. And if the club can't handle the heat, then it's not a real high performance environment. Carl's, a round of applause. That is genuinely
comment of the night, Carls.
No. That is the comment of the year. That's the comment of the year. Because she's completely spot on. And what am I like? And like I was saying before, channels like this, shows like Blue Sunday, shows like Forever Rivals, shows like the Jumper Punch. You know what I mean? It shows like these.
And now emergency meeting straight after the game, by the way.
Emergency meeting. And you know what? Also, people like, we've got a resident Collingwood supporter in our chat in, what's his name? Black and White United, Andreas. People like this, we will point out the bullshit, right? But people cannot take it. The club cannot take it because you know why? Our voice has never been. Our voice has never been louder than what it is today. And you know what? To the club, if you are listening, not that they really give a shit about some wog from the northern suburbs.
Don't worry, they're listening all right. They have someone watching these shows every single week.
Maybe
mistake.
Maybe it's time, and I'm looking straight down the barrel now. Maybe it's time you started listening to us. Maybe it's time you started listening to your past players that have spoken out against the club. Maybe it's time to let in the outside noise, because you know what? Without us, this ship sinks.
You have nothing.
Without us, this ship sinks. Because after those 40 players on that list, after Michael Voss, after Robert Priestley, after all Paddy Kinnersley, after all these people, they're gone. We're still here. We pay your wages. Our money pays all of your wages. So for you guys to say we don't listen to the outside noise, or that we don't belong here, go and shove it, because we will be here until we die.
Sebba, 2023, the club banished me from social media after attacking the president for being in Italy while the club was in disarray. It was after the Essendon loss. It took 5 minutes after my call on 3AW, and I was banned on social media. Not just my personal page, but my business page was also banned. And then it took some following up, and then an email saying that it was AI and all. No, it wasn't. And then a few more emails. They unbanned me.
I'm just sick of it.
What the club is about.
But this is the thing. This is the thing, Snapper. And you know what? It's not even. It's you. It's not even just you. It's a lot of us now. I'm sick to death of being told that we don't listen to the outside noise, or Voss in his press conference saying this, saying that. in what right mind, in what sort of people do they think they are, and have the gall to come out and say that we don't belong if we speak out against the club?
Actually,
Excuse
Sebba,
me? What about your
on
wait up? Sorry. What about your 70 fucking year members, right? That you have that and we know we got a guy that sits next to us, right? And you got people, you go, what's that number one ticket holder bullshit? They give out, who'd they give it to the other year? Was it Dylan Alcott? They give it out to all these, people. Give it to someone
Celebrities
who,
and corporate
exactly.
elites.
Give it to someone who matters. Give it to a kid from that is in hospital, like from the Royal Children's Hospital. Give it to someone who's a 70, 80 plus year member. Give it to someone who bleeds Carlton, for God's sake. Give it to. We are the backbone of this club. We are the backbone. You can't deny that. And the people that say, "Oh, you naysayers, you don't belong here," go and I've said it
Sebba,
before. Go and shove it.
all of those gongs, like number one
It's all
ticket holder,
bullshit.
number
It's
one
all
female
bullshit.
ticket holder, all of
It's
that.
all bullshit,
It's the
mate.
same as the Australia Day honours and the King's Birthday honours. It's all given
bullshit.
to all of their mates and all of the corporate elites. It's all a big club. They all want initials after their name. Mr. Dick Pick himself has got initials after his name. And now once Brian Cook leaves, he's going to have initials after his name because he got King's Birthday honours. So he's walked away with a nice big pay packet over the last 4 years.
I'm just over it. I'm over where the club is at, because we are, and you know what? Some people probably agree with this, whether you don't, whatever. This is the worst the club has been in since I've been alive, since I've witnessed. This is the worst position I've seen us in. So yeah, I mean, fuck. I agree with
you. The club feels
all I want to do,
like
all I want is to win,
fractured, and lacking any spirit at all at the moment.
But this is the thing. I'm not trying to push out against supporters who are positive or who are Voss in. I don't care. That's your opinion. I would never go to to another supporter. You know what? Whether I disagree with their thing, I will never say to another supporter, hand on my heart, I will never say to another supporter, you're wrong. You don't belong here. You don't do this. You don't speak for me. I know I don't speak for you. I speak for myself. You get what I mean?
And so does Snapper.
And so does
when he goes on radio, and expresses his opinion.
He's not thinking about me. He's not thinking about you.
He's upset. He's angry because he's seen yet another shit performance. He's entitled to express himself and be animated.
Correct.
He doesn't ever go on radio and say, I speak for all Carlton supporters, does he?
Fuck no. It's not how it
works. I don't do it.
Because we're not self-centered. Because, Snapper, I'll let you go. Because all we want is the club to be back to where it belongs.
I try to create awareness with the calls to open people's eyes and go, have a look at the problems. Are you seeing it now? Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then all of a sudden you're like, shit, what he's saying is actually right. And I've never noticed it. Eddie Maguire said it a few months ago on his podcast with Jim Bartel. When Collingwood were bad, he invited a supporter who was very disgruntled, was always talkback radio, online, and he called him in to the club and had a chat with him to understand where he was coming from. To say, and you look at them and you go, that's a president. That's a president. Come in, let's have a chat. Let's see what you have to say. Not Carlton ignoring its members and will only love the ones who do the Dance Cam and Taylor Swift and the Lion King song against Brisbane. But I just can't wait to be king. I can't wait till we win another premiership. Not singing Lion King songs. Seriously, man. Oh,
God. Before we
I'm surprised they didn't come out. Hey, Snapper, I'm surprised they didn't come out with the lion sleeps tonight after the victory, because they'll be sleeping beautifully on their pillows after a nice, effortless 3-quarter performance and put the cue in the rack for the last.
just it kills me, Vince. It kills me, and to see where the club is at. We were better. I enjoyed going more the Dennis Pagan eras and the Bolton eras.
Nah, the Ratton eras. That 08,
No.
09.
I'm talking the bad times.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
I enjoyed it going back then because I knew we were terrible, but what could you do about it? Whereas now I know that we are better than what we are doing right now, but we're just not showing it. So that makes me more angry to go, we're close to the bottom 4. We're lucky that Essendon lost. Otherwise, we would have dropped another position. It's, it's got to the point now with the club where if they're not careful, and I said it to Vince a few weeks ago when we had a chat on the phone, next year, and as I think, Vince, you mentioned it, how much the membership has increased. So those increased members have all come on board because they're bandwagon supporters. And guess what? If you don't make changes, next year's membership, you're not getting 100K. You're not getting 90. You're going to get 70K. And then go to the AFL and go, we want prime time. The AFL is going to say, stick it. You're going to be playing Sunday. Yeah. And guess what? No one's going to turn up because families have football for junior kids, soccer and all that. The club doesn't realise it. And until they do, we're not getting another premiership anytime soon.
Boys, we've got to move on. We've got to move on, but I just want to make one comment, just one last comment about that particular issue. Do you know that 10 years ago, in 2015, we were winning a wooden spoon? I think we only had 3 or 4 wins for the year. Right?
Yeah, correct.
I think 4 wins for the year. I think Malthouse got 1, then he got the arse, and then John Barker coached 3 wins in the next 14 games. So we finished with 4 wins for the season, and we finished on the bottom. And I guarantee you that we would have had more people turning up to the Carlton Brisbane game when back then we only had a membership base of 50,000 than what we have now with 100,000. And if you reckon that there was 32,000 people there on Thursday night, you're blind because those figures have been fudged. And why, if we've got double the amount of members, why, if there's a genuine increase, double the increase in members in 10 years than what we've had in the previous 160, right? 150. If that was the case, why now are we still only getting the same amount of people at the same games? Why are they giving away $10 entries and free for kids and all this sort of stuff? Still couldn't get more than, I reckon there would have been lucky to be more than 22, 23,000 there the other night. Maybe that 25.
Before we go all night, we could have this chat all night, but Snap, I'll let you finish off the comments there, and then we'll move on. I'll let you finish off
that game, Vince. That was against Port Adelaide, the John Barker first game. We were there, and the crowd was electric. It was a big. I think we got over 50,000, and the crowd was electric. And we won the game. We just held on, and it was electric.
It's at the MCG. Yeah.
And we were terrible, but the fans got there because new coach. Yeah. It was exciting to watch. Cripper was unbelievable. And you go, now, I wouldn't surprise me if they give away $10 tickets on the weekend. I know for a fact.
On Saturday night? Oh, yeah, for sure.
I know for a fact Carlton did give for the North Melbourne game. For a fact, I know this. They were offering Carlton supporters tickets in the AFL members section, the section that I'm in, for dirt cheap to make it, because that side is where the camera pans. You're not going to do it. Right?
We'll move on because we could go all night. Vince, there was a few games this weekend. You want to run through them for me? You want to run through them?
Indeed, there was. Just bear with me. No, I'll go through them quickly. It's my usual job. All right, so we had, apart from our game on Thursday night, we had on Friday a game that I actually tipped the winner of this. I don't know about you, but the Gold Coast Suns, a gutsy performance. They got off to a flying start. Collingwood didn't have a goal at half time. Unbelievable. Only had eight behinds, but they did come back like good teams do, and they actually took the lead in the last quarter. And I think that's when the Gold Coast realised we can't defend anymore. We're just going to have to attack. And they actually ended up, getting over the line. So 10-9-69, great win for them. Collingwood 8-15-63, inaccurate kicking. But I don't think they'll lose any admirers, and might not be a bad loss for them at this stage of the year after having won their previous 8 matches. Next game was on Saturday. What a great game this was between the Western Bulldogs and Adelaide. 15-8-98, the Doggies, but their defence just has a few too many holes in it for mine. And what do they call it? The three-headed monster with the 3 boys up there. Thilthorpe, 6 goals. Amazing effort. Darcy Fogarty and Tex Walker. They're a pretty lethal combination. 16-13, 109. So an 11-point win. Probably a little bit flattering too for the Doggies. That game felt like Adelaide had control of it most of the time for at least 3, 4, even up to 5 goals at times. Next one, another great game. GWS putting Geelong to the sword. GWS 17-9, 111 to Geelong 13-7, 85. But now Geelong has a very easy run of it all the way home. So I don't think they'll be too disturbed by that. Now here's a bit of a turn-up, wasn't it? Saturday night, Sebba? Richmond.
Great game. Oh, I mean, not a great game. Great result for Richmond.
Who
Great
would have
game.
thought
Fucking
that 6-10-46 would win the game, but it did in the end. Terrible standard game, I suppose, but Essendon got another couple of really bad injuries. They're the walking wounded over there.
Nick. Yeah, feel bad for Nick Martin.
6-10-46 to Essendon, 4 goals, 13-37. They were 3 goals straight at quarter time, Essendon. They kicked 1 goal, 13 for the rest of the game.
It's Carlton stats.
Then there was another great game. I thought it was a terrific round of football, to be honest. Fremantle, 12-5-77. Geez, didn't they turn it on in that last quarter when Hawthorn looked for all money like they were going to take it out? But they kicked 4 goals to nothing in the last quarter. They kicked 4 goals, 4 to Hawthorn, 2 behinds. And they ended up winning by 13 points to keep their finals hopes alive. Today, Melbourne eventually overcame North Melbourne. Wasn't a great game to watch, but 18-11, 119 to North Melbourne, pretty decimated, 12-11, 83. Another top game, another good contest between St Kilda and Sydney. Sydney ended up prevailing by only 5 points, 14-8, 92. They keep their very, very slim finals chances alive with that win over St Kilda, 13-9, 87. And Port Adelaide at home eventually, only in the last quarter, kicking 5 goals to only a point. They ended up overcoming West Coast, 12-15, 87 to West Coast, 9-7, 61. So what does that make the ladder look like? There it is. Collingwood go from being 10 points ahead to only 6. That's not going to really bother them too much, I wouldn't have thought. Brisbane, with their win over us, go to second. They're on 50. Adelaide now outright third on 48. Geelong, Gold Coast, Hawthorn, Giants and Fremantle all on 44, separated on percentage. It's a bit of a logjam there. Interesting to see who makes the Final Four. I think Geelong, with their soft run, should make the Final Four.
I got the Giants.
And then outside the top 8, the Doggies, with their loss, are 1 game behind. Where's that?
Oh, we don't have the bottom half of the ladder, I don't think.
I don't have the bottom half, okay.
You got it? Nah.
Well, the Doggies are on 4. I'll just quickly go through it. Western Bulldogs are 1 game behind Fremantle now, even though their percentage is way better. They're in 9th. Sydney are now 2 games behind the Doggies on 32. Port Adelaide, 32. And then 2 games clear of Carlton, Melbourne and Essendon, all on 24. St Kilda on 20, North Melbourne on 18, Richmond on 16, and West Coast on 4. And I don't know what you two blokes are laughing at. Something to do with me?
Because we've got no bottom of the ladder. We've done a Carlton. We've got one half and we've pissed off the other half.
Oh, well. Doesn't matter.
God.
Let's move on, boys.
Matter. Well, I think that wraps us up for the night. Oh, wait, no. Big Vincenzo's bet of the week. Vincenz, take it away.
Well, I don't know. Have you got the one for this week? Last week's bet, no good. We only got 5 out of 9. as I said, it only takes one loss to kill your bet. Look, we only outlaid $7. It was worth a punt. But a few of those 50-50 results went against us. This week I've decided to make it only 6 legs, but this one I'm very confident will come off. When you combine all of those pretty short odds, it gives you $3.86 at the end of it. So we'll outlay $10 in an attempt to win back $38.60. If that bet doesn't come off, we'll still have $150 in the account. At the moment it says 160, but we're going to bet $10 of that for next week. All right?
Lovely. And does that wrap us up for the week? I think it does.
It does. Oh, before we go, a show wouldn't be a show without me saying hello to somebody. I just wanted to wish. Well, as a matter of fact, it's a cheerio to a former Carlton premiership player, former Carlton captain, and a great bloke. He turned 70 tomorrow, and I speak, of course, of Mark Sellers McClure, who tomorrow turns 70 years of age. So I'm not sure if he watches, but Sellers, all the very best. And he's been doing it a little bit tough of late with his health. So hopefully he can enjoy a really nice day with his lovely wife, Virginia, and all of his family and friends, and celebrate heading into the 70s.
A legend, that's for sure. So, guys, thank you to our panel. Thank you, Vincenz, once again for tonight. It's been a pleasure. Snapper, thank you for coming on and filling in. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Snapper.
To the chat, just want to say a big thank you. You guys have been enormous tonight. You guys have been great. To our sponsors,
and Sebba, before you finish, hang on. You don't escape without a few plaudits headed your way.
No,
mate,
I don't want
any. You've done a sensational job tonight in Joe's absence. I was hoping Joe would come on, but he didn't end up coming on, unfortunately. But, mate, you've done an outstanding job. And if I was Joe, I'd be nervous.
Nah. I'm not here to take. I don't take price.
We'll have you back next week. And Snapper, well done, mate. Thanks for coming on.
No, thanks for having
to have you on again before the season's out. We'll have to get you back on at some point. But thanks very much for joining us tonight, mate.
Thank you.
And the sponsors of this show, big thank you to Retired Working for You Tours and the Sporting Globe, the special sponsor of this show. Make sure to grab your tickets to the live show on the 30th of August at Howlers. Again, Brad Pearce and some more players to be announced. What can I say? It's been a great show tonight. Once again, the chat. And what else can we say? Go Blues.
Go Blues.
Go the Blues.
Go Blues.